Hello, hello. Happy Thursday to everyone here from the Dre Sanchez YouTube channel, which pretty much is just me and present company. A couple of kids in the office right now kicking it with me. So we had a pretty eventful stream yesterday. I was just checking out a few different streams today. Simulator streaming, and Chiefs and Pilot was streaming, and Blue Games and XP72 were streaming, so I was just checking them out. A lot of folks are streaming yesterday, myself included, so it was a great day for the streaming community. But we must get back to business, and the show must go on. Drew Stone, happy 4th Monday, Drew says, and Drew, as always, thanks for checking in. My friend, you are always supporting all of us in the community, so thank you for that. As you guys know, I had a pretty eventful flight yesterday. The stream crashed in the first half, but then we picked it back up, finished the flight off right where the stream crashed prior, just with it, 20 minutes in between for me to restart the whole computer and get everything running and get it back to where it was. Today we're doing a little something more simpler on the frames. Today we have the airfoils Beechcraft King Air 350i here, and we are going to do some charter flights. If you guys want to take a look and see where we are at, let's go up to the free camera and you guys will be able to see beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, and all its magnificent glory. As you can see there, it's got a cute couple of different little building settings there. And believe it or not, this is just X-Plane, if I can remember correctly, X-Plane scenery, or I might have downloaded some scenery. I don't remember. It's been some while, but we will be seeing this off our left wing as we come off, depending on where we're going, but we usually come off this runway and take a right. So kind of a beautiful little area to be in today. So, but you know what? Enough of that chat. So let's do a couple things here while we're outside of the aircraft. As you guys can see here, the model of this aircraft is very well done. It's just, I couldn't ask for a better King Air 350. I started originally flying this, if you guys check my YouTube channel out, way back in 2016, I think, and I did a tutorial on there, which now has like 35,000 views on. So I kind of got my birth to doing flight sim videos in this thing right here. Obviously, it was FS10, Microsoft Flight Simulator, 2010, if you will, or X. But anyway, now that we are here on X-Plane, it's an entirely different story. As you guys can see, we have the passengers on board, so we are going to do a few different things here. We're going to connect some ground power, which you'll see on the other side, and we're going to close the door. And I've already done a walk around. Oops, we didn't want those stairs. I don't know why I put those there. Okay, so the door is closed, and Ilmir Stefanides says, "What's good? What is up, my friend? Welcome to the stream. Welcome back to the channel." And again, thank you guys for checking in. It ought to be an eventful one. This is a study level aircraft, guys. So this isn't just some regular GA, type smaller turboprop that we're flying. This thing is actually a study level aircraft, and you guys are going to see that. So you can see here we got the ground power connected right here, which is quite a large generator for such a small aircraft, but nonetheless, there it is. And we can see that the aircraft is all buttoned up. The pitot covers, engine covers, the chocks are all removed, and we are ready to go flying in this beast. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on board here. And I'm going to stop the music because there's a lot to get this little sucker up and going. So let's just quiet this music down for now, and we'll get some tunes. I don't know how much time we're going to have for tunes in here. But the first thing I want you guys to take note of is what's cool about this is some other simulations actually have a menu off to the left, and there's usually an icon or something here. But what I like about this is there's no icon until you hover next to the left. And again, guys, this is Airfoil's rendition of the King Air 350i. Now, we've already got our ground power on, but I also want to just go ahead and set the weight and balance. So if you left click it, well, let me just do this. If you come here and you just want to do the fuel, you can literally just go like this, and then boom, click it, and it's full. We're gonna go with a full tank of gas today. You can hear it just loaded that into the aircraft. But if you want to worry about packs and the rest of the stuff, you will go ahead and just fully left click it. And then you can see right now that we're pretty much at the max takeoff weight and landing weight. I don't want that. So I'm going to go back for the fuel being 3/4 of fuel, and that gives us a little bit. Even if we have to top off once we get to our destinations, that'll be fine. Then if we do crew only and hit 3/4, you can see that. But if we go back to full, it goes out of the zone. So we can only do 3/4. And I'm just showing you guys that because it's very important to remember on these smaller aircraft, weight and where they sit is a huge deal. So anyway, so now we have the aircraft, and you can see there's passengers in here already. So here's even weights per the aircraft, and it's supposed to balance itself out nicely. And so you see that, and you can also see where that center of gravity is on the aircraft. So if we wanted to change some weights per se, like we got a lot of weight, you know, the center of gravity is kind of towards the back, which ironically we got more weight up here in the front, and the turboprops up there. So that'll just tell you how these things are balanced. But to me, that's going to work out good enough. And then you could definitely change your units here. You can see your maximum takeoff weight, zero fuel weight, and all that good stuff right here. Total passengers weight is 901 pounds. Total baggage weight is 120 pounds. Total fuel quantity is 2,708 pounds. Zero fuel weight, 11,000 pounds total weight. And everything's in the green, and our two icons here representing zero fuel weight and gross weight are both in the okay center of gravities. They're not outside of any limits. So we can just go ahead and apply that. And then I just hit it twice always and click that off. Now, because once I get going, guys, I'm not even going to go do a whole long pre-checklist or anything. I'm just trying to show you guys where stuff at if you get this aircraft, for those who don't know. Also here, if you hover to the bottom right and you click this, or I'm not going to click it yet, or you come down here and click this flight book, which we will have to click in order to set the V speeds. Of course, it does it for you if you just click them. We can either come get the checklist this way, which this is also going to have our performance. This also has some general information in the handbook, which is pretty cool. It's got its limits here in terms of performance and what you can do. And then, of course, it's got its normal checklist. So that's pretty slick. And you have a settings here that we're not going to mess with. But if you just want to get to the checklist, hover over the bottom right, left click, and then you can proceed to go to the checklist. Now, I'm not doing the checklist today, but I do want to note an aircraft like this, you would technically do the run-up. So perhaps we'll just look at some. I'm not going to do the run-up just because it's just basically going through the motions and checking everything. And one thing I should do, knowing me, I should go ahead and just edit all failures first before we have some type of failure. Today is going to be where our aircraft is in perfect working condition, because you guys know sometimes it's not. So anyway, we'll do some stuff on that checklist. I'll make glints at it, but I'm totally not going to go over the checklist just because it can take a long time. And this is really an aircraft that is supposed to be, this is not a single operations aircraft. This is a 2-pilot operated aircraft, obviously. So there's a lot of stuff going on. We are on the VATSIM network. However, let me check the scope. I don't believe there's any ATC here, and there's not. There's just a few aircraft coming and departing, as you guys know, who are simmers. That not a whole lot of activity happens here unless there's an event or people just happen to be flying here, or ATC just happens to get on. Let's get out of here, guys. So again, not going to be a whole lot of music or shenanigans. These are very short flights. First leg is only 28 minutes. Second leg, so the first leg, we're going to go from Honolulu to Kalalui. Okay, so that's not far. That's just the next island, so to speak, over, or it might be skipping one island onto the next. I can't remember if the islands are connected with Honolulu and this other body. Then from Kalalui, we're going to go over to Hilo, which is Foxtrot Hotel Tanger Oscar for the IKO. And then from there, we'll probably take a long journey back to Honolulu and call it a day. So this is a full circle charters flight here. We've been chartered to take these passengers, as you can see here, who have already boarded this wonderful little aircraft, who obviously are vaccinated because they have no masks on board. So we'll consider these guys vaccinated, and this plane is a COVID-free environment. But excuse me. At any rate, let's go get the aircraft ready, and I'm going to talk you guys through it. Okay. So first of all, you guys saw that I had, you could see off the the right side of the aircraft is where we had the ground power when I did the circle. That's where you guys saw it. So now what we're going to do is, first of all, you need to check all of your, and you know what, guys, I'm just going to put on my flight controls because I am going to be messing with the fuel mixture and the props and the fuel condition levers as well as the power. So I figure I'll just give you guys that right now. Let me just make sure they're free and clear and working. They are. All right, because sometimes that camera does freeze up on me. So let me get back to where, in case you guys have something to say from the peanut gallery, I'll be able to respond. Now, so as we said, the ground power is on. As you can see here, everything is cold and dark. Now, just like the aircraft that I flew the other day, which is similar to this one, which is the Beechcraft 1900 Delta, and it's got a lot of similarities, but they're different aircraft, most certainly. I mean, the props on the other one sit way further back, and it's a much longer, narrower aircraft, where this one is a little bit smaller aircraft, very versatile, still highly used. This thing is probably over 50 years old, and it's still being produced today. I think over either 600 or 6,000 have been produced and sold. I believe it's 6,000, but yeah, I think it's more along the 6,000. But don't give me the line. I just watched some information on YouTube about it today from the actual company, so that's where I kind of got that information. But you know, don't quote me on that. Go do the research for yourself. But it is still being produced. It's still, and there's not many changes other than avionics and the cabin comfort that have changed on it. They're using the same engines and everything as well. I'm sure there's been some performance increases in this. At any rate, so the aircraft is cold and dark. So the first thing you want to do, see how my lever is up here, and I'm using my own controller. So what you want to do is you want to zero everything out. So now that you see it's all zeroed out, and that's why I'm showing you guys my flight controls. Now, these flight controls, we are going to individually put these up into a certain position, and then I'll advance them. These ones, we need to start out of feather in order to start the aircraft. So we're going to do it just like that. And that's the middle knob, or the props condition. And what that does is the props, as you can see, are flat, but the props also turn. So they pitch differently to bite into the air in order to grab that air and maximize performance. And auto feather just simply is when the props are having a certain pitch, but there's no increased performance. It auto feathers it to make sure it's not doing any wasted energy. That's what auto feather is. Anyway, and we most certainly in this one are going to take off auto feather and prop sync. Okay, so aircraft, cold and dark. Bottom left is your battery panel. Now, the first thing we're going to do, even before we hit the battery panel, is we're going to hit this external power on, and you're immediately going to see everything light up, obviously. And then, of course, we need to hit the battery switch to the up position, and we're also going to go ahead and turn on the avionics. Now, when you turn the avionics, your HSI and primary flight display, which are located here, they're not going to come on. The only thing that you are going to notice is all of this information here coming alive, which we're not going to set because I will lose functionality to these here in a minute. I'm just doing this. I'm going to do a start, but what I'm going to do, since the power's on the left side, I'm going to start the left side engine first, get the generator on, then we can dismiss the ground power and get the other aircraft on and get the rest going. There's not a whole lot to this flight plan, but we are doing a departure that requires us to fly a VOR departure, so that'll be fun for all those that you don't know how to fly a VOR. We're going to do it today, and hopefully we do it correctly, or actually I know how to do it just fine. I should say I hope I fly to the VOR correctly, you know, because it always makes it different when we come off the runway and what happens. So right now we're okay with the battery because external power's on, and one thing you want to do is make sure these masters are on, but you can turn these let's see, pilot instrument panel. No, we'll keep that up. I don't think that's referencing this light here, but if it is, we'll turn that down. Engine instruments, we'll see what that light is once we get everything going. Okay, so right here you can see if you click this over, this changes, but if you go back to the external power, it's right where it's supposed to be. And if you go to center, it won't change, but if you go to left generator, all these should be zeroed out except the external power. So down here we have the external power, which you guys saw come on. Now we're just going to go ahead and ensure that the parking brake is set, which is right here next to your flight manual, and we're going to check fuel levels before we go. We said we're at about 2,000 something, which is going to be correct. 1,200, or let's see, roughly 12.5 and 12.5 sound about right for our fuel. And this is where our fuel flow and all that's going to come through right here. So all the gauges are zeroed out and appear to be in a neutral situation. And then of course, we're just going to observe ourselves here. Even though we're going to lose functionality, we're observing that the GPS at least has the plane where it's supposed to be on the ramp. Now, some other things that we need to make sure are on. Obviously, this plane in the cold and dark state already puts the nav on and the beacon on. But normally if that wasn't on, you would want to get the beacon on. Well, the nav on first, then the beacon, because the aircraft is getting ready to come alive. Then you want to make sure the rest of this stuff is off, as we don't need it. You want to come over here and make sure these bleed valves right here, they're not in the open position right now, because we're just doing an engine start. So we need as least power as possible on this thing. And then of course, this EFIS power is going to power up the rest of our avionics, which is our primary flight display and our HSI, but that's all good to go as well. Let's see, my limits on my track are, and then of course this is the pressurization panel that we'll talk about too, which is pretty simple today because we're only flying 8,000 on the first leg, 9,000 on the second, and more than likely 9,000 on the last, but we'll get a check there. Then coming over to the first officer side, you have some things that we don't have on the other side. We've got our gyro, suction, we've got our pneumatic pressure, which we'll be checking out, our cabin air temperature, our flight hours, which is 0, and then our oxygen levels right here, pounds per square inch, or PSI. You got your breaker panels over here, and so there's a lot to this aircraft, more in the stages of flight, managing the engines than anything. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and fire this bad boy up. So as you can see, the fuel's to the cutoff, so we're gonna fire it up. We're gonna let the torque rise up a little bit in the turbine, and then we'll introduce fuel into the low idle. So what we need to do is look left. Left is clear, and of course right is clear. Starting engine number 1. What you're gonna need to do, and I could take this off, but I'm just keeping this up for realism. So you can take this off and on, but I like to leave it on for the realism. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hit our ignition to arm position, and you are going to essentially, oops, I normally start the right, and that's when I do a battery start, so you got to be careful. I'm starting the left engine first because the GPU is on the right side, so we can let the ground crew get off safely. And we're simply going to hold it. So we're going to come look at that prop, start its rotation. Physical rotation is happening, and you can look at the turbine is right where we need it to introduce that fuel. So we're going to bring the left fuel to the low idle. You're going to notice the turbine is picking up. You can also notice physically that the plane is most certainly powering up that turboprop. You can hear it come up. Now we're going to let it stabilize here for a second. Of course, you can check all this out on the checklist, and there's probably a few more things that we needed to check out, but they're literally just checks. I'm going to get us up to where we're super functional. So let that stabilize here. I'm going to go ahead and put us up to 8,000 here. All right, that engine is stable, so what we want to do now is bring that into a high idle. The reason why we're doing that, we're going to run the generator off this engine first. Okay, torque is stabilizing at 7.2%. RPMs are stable at about 13.5%. Turbine is stable at 71.4 RPM, and the fuel flow is balanced out at about between 25 and 2600 pounds. So that's good. So now what we need to do is we need to come down here and we need to turn this left generator on. You got to go to reset, and then we're going to turn the left inverter on. Now what that's going to do is it's going to give us some initial power. So we should be reporting power on our left generator. Okay. Now there's no DC load on it yet because we're still running the external power. So what we're going to do now that we have that generator connected, we're going to get rid of the external power. Everything's going to go dark. You see, that's where we lose some functionality. But we can also go over here, and now we need to manually close the ties. See that? Now we are not going to lose any more power as far as I'm concerned, because we have power to the aircraft on our own. Now we can come over here to our hover menu and we can get rid of this GPU. Again, we did that for a couple of reasons. We want our batteries charging. Obviously, if you look at external power now, everything's off. If you come up here to our left generator, we got some volts. Okay, we don't have 100% on the DC load yet because we're not done there. But as far as that's concerned, we've got power, and at least we got something generating power. Now that we've dismissed that the ground power, we're going to go ahead and start the right engine. Ignition, same thing. We're going to notice a rotation on the right engine. All right. Turbine is right where we want it, so we can introduce fuel as well. All right, we're doing good so far, guys. Check you guys out if everything is looking good. Let me know if the engines get too loud. I can turn them down as well for my voice. I don't think we're doing a whole lot of music on today's flight, so. All right, we've basically stabled our torque and our turbine out, so now we can bring this up into the... Now watch this. This is gonna go down really quick, but I'm just gonna zip this up so they stay up there. So now they're balanced out and measured with this instead of me individually doing them, because you have to individually start them. And you can see they're both good to go. So now what we can do is most certainly come on and do the same thing for the right generator. Up to reset, hold it. It is on, and we need to get the next inverter on. Okay, that inverter is on. We have 2 good starts, no hung starts or hot starts. Everything here looks good. We got props balanced, we got torque balanced, we got ITT, which is the inlet turbine temperature. Those temps are balanced, the turbine is balanced, and the fuel flows look equal. And we've got oil pressure, and oil temperature looks good. It's in the green. Oil pressure is in the green for both engines. Let me check the chat out here. Chiefs and Pilot, yo pal, hitting the like. I'll be back. Yes sir, Chief will be joining us back. Hey Chief, great stream today as well. Always thanks for the kind words, and your streams as well give me motivation in the fact that I see you keep going and your channel's growing and you're just a good dude. So thanks for those wonderful comments before on your stream. All right guys, remember we didn't have any avionics power here because we needed to get the aircraft up and running. So let's go ahead down here to our EFIS panel. And you're going to turn this display EADI on, as well as the multi-function button on. And it doesn't come on right away. It's going to slowly fade in. It's going to slowly fade in. There you go. So like I said, guys, this is a pretty slick simulation here. So now what I'm going to do, since I'm thinking about it, I'm going to come over here and I am going to get the weather for Honolulu. Bear with me. Like I said, we're on VATSIM, but there's no control here, so we'll make our call outs and do the best that we can. So the weather, winds are out of 40. So the winds are basically out of the east. 13 knots, that's pretty, they're gusting to 21, so this is going to be an interesting takeoff. Altimeter is 29906. All right, we've got 29906 on the altimeter, and the temperature outside is 29 degrees Celsius. So we're doing good there. Drew Stone, hey, honey, mi papi chulo, love you, honey. Ay, te quiero mucho, mi amor. Gracias por todo tu apoyo y amor que me das. Siempre es mi amor. Y millones de besos a ti, mi amor. Just talking to my wife. So there you go. My daughter, I'm going to put her, she's going to wants to show her face. Once we get up, maybe on autopilot, I'll let her come in. I'll signal you for that, okay? My youngest daughter just loves being, if it's not the cat, it's her being my co-pilot. And you guys, of course. All right, guys. So now what we have to do here, don't let this fool you where this power just went off. We're simply going to come down here. We're going to open up the buses and we're going to tie them again. And we should get that power back, which we haven't gotten it back. Now I'm a little curious why we lost power to those generator. Let's see. Let's do a bus. Let's reset it. Let's open the buses. And of course, reclose them. Peculiar. We lost complete power to that. and I can't really tell you why. Let's see. Let me get my props up just a little bit more, and let's figure out our power issue. Let's go back down, go back up on the inverters, and very strange. Let's do one by one generator and figure out why we lost power. Got our avionics on. Let's see, avionics are on here. Let's get those ignitions off. And that was the problem. The ignitions were probably pulling too much power. Okay, there we go. So I told you guys this is such a realistic sim. What was happening is the ignitions, which I accidentally left on chatting, were pulling power. So if that happens to you guys, do not freak out, guys. Just go through your checks here and look at what you're doing. My ignitions were on. They're supposed to be turned to the off position afterward, and so it was just drawing too much power from the battery. So we got our power back on, and that's why I don't do anything with that until I figure out. Now you can see that DC load on, so don't forget to do those generators, the starters off, guys, because it will drain your power, as you guys saw. And I want you guys to see how detailed of a simulation this is. Drew Stone says, big up to my wife, and my wife is saying hello to everybody. So good to see the camaraderie in the chat. That's what I love to see. All right, so now that we got our power back on, and what we need, don't worry, this says VOR. We're going to control all of this from our GPSs here. Now what we need to do, of course, is set our transponder, and we're just going to set it to on out right now, and we're going to do a standard transponder of 2200 for VATSIM. And now we can definitely start getting our flight done now that we're done with the power issues. We got good power. Again, guys, in this aircraft, this is your religion up here, making sure you have a DC load on and coming over here to check your amps and your DC amps over here, guys. Now here's the prop amps. This is going to be a whole different story. I'll show you what happens when we put it into the auto. This is actually one of the checks, guys. And yeah, I don't see that light on, so everything is looking good. We've got a little bit of a floodlight here. It's all good. And thank you, honey, for telling everybody to enjoy the stream. I hope I enjoy the flight as well. All right, so here we have, if you guys have this is the GTN 750/650. This is the 750 model. Normally this comes with standard avionics, which is just your Garmin GNS 530, but I paid many years ago for the GTN 750 and have never looked back. This thing is constantly supported and updated, so this is the Reality GTN 750, and so this is what we're using today. And this aircraft, once you put it in here, it does a left and a right side, but they are not slaved together. So whatever you do over here, which is your primary controller, you're going to want to do it over here, because this is actually your, just for visual references. You can put a map. It does stuff too, but it's just not slaved to the aircraft. It's not the master. All right, guys, so we're going to come in here right now and look into the flight plan. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get our flight plan all situated here. Guys, it's a simple one today. We are going to load a procedure first, and we're leaving it runway 4 right, just to let you guys know. So we'll do a departure, and our departure is the it's really the Palaya 3, but this only has, the only thing about the Reality GTN 750 is the fact that the AirX are updated a little slower, but they're good enough to fly. So just FYI, it's not like, and it doesn't even rely on Navigraph. It has nothing to do with Navigraph, so it's its own database itself. This is a third-party plugin into here, so this has nothing to do really with X-Plane, because you can use this in other sims as well. But at any rate, here we go. Honolulu, transition LNY, which is a VOR, and then we're going to load that departure. And I'm going to show you guys why this gets interesting. So then from there, we're going to go ahead and load our first destination is Kahului, and we're going to go ahead and load the arrival and the approach. That runway, the winds here are pretty much stable because it's right over the water. We're doing the Camps 3. with the LNY transition, guys, and we'll go ahead and load that arrival, and then we're going to go right into another procedure of an approach. So ILS 2, and we're going to take it right from camps. We're not going to fly a course reversal there, and we're just going to load the approach, but we're not going to activate it. So what that looks like in here, the approach is in here, but this is, for all intents and purposes, a discontinuity. And we're going to go from there. I like how it didn't make the camps redundant, though, which is pretty cool. Excuse me. Now, as promised, if you want to use this as a map, you're going to have to literally do everything that you did on the other side here. One thing that you could do as well, too, if you don't want to forget about that waypoint at the end, you can go ahead and put Kalalui in there now, and then still do your procedures. Load procedure. We know the departure is the Palai 2. We said for right, and LNY transition, load the departure, and then we can go right into loading the arrival and the actual approach. Camps 3, LNY, boom. It's a little labor intensive while you're burning fuel, but these don't burn that much fuel anyway. Now we're going to go ahead and load a procedure again. We're going to load the approach, and we said ILS 2, and we're taking that from camps, and we're not flying the course reversal, and we are going to load that. Now the reason why we did that, watch this. This is again your point of reference side. So you can also use charts over here. So you can see that we're right there. That's the map, and we're going to use this for our flight time, or our actual flight FMC, if you will, and we'll use this for our map. Now, if you come over here, it's the same thing, guys. You can see, obviously, I have different settings. I have this north setting, so this will always face the plane, the direction of the plane, and this is actually going to face the direction the plane is actually facing. So this, obviously, is going to always be facing north up. You see this side? And this is not. This is following the direction of the nose of the aircraft. So just know that there's two different, I like to have it two different ways so that I can really get a look at things. Now that that's said and done, let's go ahead and look at our departure so we can set the aircraft up and bounce up out of here. Let me check the chat, and we're gone. Okay, guys, so now that we're looking in the primary situation here, or the primary navigation here side, we need to go to our flight plan and just double check everything. Everything is looking good. Now we need to go check our charts out. We're going to go in here. So this is a pretty cool feature too of this. You can go right, like, again, this is separate apart. You don't need Navigraph for this. This is all Reality GTN 750 stuff that has the charts on board. So we want a departure, and you just click here, and we're going to pick our departure. We're going to scroll down here to the Palai 2, which is really supposed to be 3, and then we're going to make it full screen. Okay, guys, so this is pretty simple. Normally, if you had ATC, they would be assigning some of this. Of course, if you read the description here, it says departures from runways 4 left, 4 right, and 8 left must complete right turn to assigned heading within 2 nautical miles of runway departure. So basically, we're going to take off, wheels up. We're going to start our right turn already. We're going to cross CKH radio 240 at or above 2,500 feet. Departures runway 26 left and right must do that. So ours is a right turn. Basically, get off the ground and start your right turn, because look, guys, we need to hit a radio, and if you come and look at the flight plan, we don't have any ATC, so we got to do this on our own. So runway heading is 42 degrees. This radial is 110. So this is the 110 outbound from the Honolulu VOR, which we need to program. Oh, it's already in here. It's what a coinky ding. So the Honolulu VOR digits are already programmed in here, so we're going to need to put this in the nav1 radio, because we are leaving on the nav1 radio and not the GPS, okay? So don't let that confuse you, because if you leave with this, let's say you hit this to GPS, which that'll say, GPS right here, and it'll turn a different color, we will be in bad trouble, because we need to first fly this radio. Now, how do you fly a VOR? Well, let's set it up, and then as we're doing it, we'll explain it. VOR navigation is a little different than radio navigation. Radio navigation is basically like you plug all these points into GPS, you follow the flight director, and then you end up going onto the actual route using your flight director. You hit autopilot and it flies that. A VOR, which is a VORTAC, which is basically a directional beacon from the ground that also gives distance and direction, which is the next best thing to a fix, in my opinion, is flown with the nav1 radio using the nav on this aircraft. So in order to do that, we're going to do a few different things. The first thing we need to pay attention to is the frequency. So as you can see, we have it in here now on the active side of 114.80, and it says HNL VOR, so that's the right one. Now we're going to be looking for two things. We need to find out what heading that we need to turn our aircraft to, which will be greater than 110, because this radio 110 means from the Honolulu VOR, this is 110 degrees, so this is a southeast radial right here. So what we're going to want to do is take our heading and turn it to where it's intersecting this radial of 110. So the runway is at 41, so obviously we want to make a heading of at least about and we'll add about 50, maybe 40 degrees. So we're going to make our heading 140, and we need to set the course heading to 110. Let's set the course heading first. So you're going to come down here. Sorry, this is where the autopilot's at, so don't be alarmed about that. I recommend binding your heading button with another controller. I have it with a Logitech F310 gamepad that's on my left chair that I zip stripped there. So that's how some things you guys are going to see me do, you won't see it. But anyway, we're going to grab this guy right here. I'm just going to left click and hold it and try to do our best to get to 110. All right, 122. 113, 3 more clicks. 1, 2, and 3. All right, 110. Now look at that, guys. So now we're going to come over here, and I'm just using that pad, and we know it's 110, right? So this is how you can do it. This is how you're really going to fly the VOR, and you're going to know how to get yourself on an intercept course. So if you put the heading there of 110, now you know that's dead on to the heading, but we need to catch this VOR. So we need to do a right turn in order to catch that. This green line here is indicating that we are left of the radial. So we need to intercept it, and this indicating triangle here is representing what our heading of 110 is in this direction. Had we had set 300, this would be facing that way, and we'd be intercepting it still from this side, but then we'd be doing a right turn. So we're going to be doing a left turn once we do it. So as stated, let's give us a nice intercept course here, and we're going to fly a heading of we'll do 140, just because we don't want to go too crazy. And you can see the distance to this VOR is it's not even a mile, so we're going to pick it up pretty quick. Now okay, so check me here. 110 radial set in Honolulu VR. We got our heading set to 140. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. I'll use a quick view, and we're going to set up our departure. If you notice here, our flight directors are already active. This is this magenta situation right here, okay? And this is obviously the artificial horizon, so just to keep that in mind. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set our autopilot up so that we have a nice smooth takeoff. So first off, we need to basically tell it we want to follow the heading, and then we also wanted to intercept the navigation's radio basically signal of the HN Honolulu VOR, so that's why that's armed. This will go active once we touch it, and that line comes over and it comes straight in the middle. We're going to touch it and we're going to leave. Now what's going to happen is we need to basically get ready for our climb. So I like to do our climb in the vertical speed mode, and we're going to pitch up to where it's at least 10 degrees. So we're going to hit this up right here at least 3 times. And if this goes way above 10 degrees, we got a problem. That's about as close to 10 degrees as we're going to get. So this will be our initial climb right here to 8,000 actually on this one. Our next leg will be 9,000. And you can see nav1 heading, the vertical speed is armed, and you can see the flight director is indicating exactly how we need to steer the aircraft. Come back down again and check it. Heading, alt arm, nav arm, vertical speed. So the alt arm, you want to make sure that is too, otherwise we'll supersede the 8,000 because the aircraft will keep climbing. We also need to double check the pressurization panel, which is here. Okay, let me go down actually. Pressurization panels here. We're not flying above, so these on the inside are your flight levels. This is where you would actually do your flight levels. And then of course this here is where we're going to be setting the cabin altitude temperature. So when we land, we're going to set the cabin altitude temperature or height to this, and this is in thousands of feet, of course, right here. So that's how we're going to do it. So we won't be changing this at all, guys. As far as I'm concerned, we'll keep the rate where it's at, because when you land in this aircraft, it's supposed to be either plus 400 or 500. And there's a chart that I'll show you here. I'll just show you that now, because we're not going to do the run up, but will definitely show you. Start checklist. I wish there was a faster way to get to what I want to show you guys, but I'm just going to show it to you really quick. Okay, before takeoff, run up. Okay, this will actually be, it will be on the descent. Rolling takeoff, climb, I'm just going to get there really quick. Okay, so when you're descending, this is your pressurization panel. So based off the altimeter, you add to the airport elevation. So if the elevation is 50 feet, you add this to the elevation. If you're landing, you know, closer to 3000 on the altimeter, this is what you're going to do. If you're 3005 or higher, you're going to do plus 300 on top of the airport, the runway elevation. So this is a very detailed simulation, and that's part of your descent transition. We'll hopefully get into the rest of the stuff. Like I said, we're not doing checklists. I just want to show you guys that this thing is a very highly detailed simulation. Now, I want to show you something here. Here's your rudder boost and your pitch trim. The pitch trim here is already on down here, but you are going to have to cycle it for it to come off, and that's part of the checklist feature. So you can see pitch trim. This is your annunciator panel, and to do your annunciator panel test, one of them is going to be right here. So we could literally test it by holding that, and those will all come up, and you just got to go back and make sure everything here is armed as we wanted. There's another test button for this as well. But we don't need to worry about that right now. So let's get our trims also squared away. So you can see the aircraft, it's not trimmed correctly, so we're going to want to bring our trims down where they go, and you're going to have to do that manually essentially. We're just going to put it right to where it says up, so don't forget to do your trims. Oh yeah, trims are done. All right, let's address this pitot trim off. Again, even though down here it says it's on, you have to cycle it back, and now that'll disappear from the annunciator. See that? And the rest here, guys, you can just go through the bleed airs. We're going to come over here and open both these valves so you can see everything on here that's green is fine. This is the left prop pitch and the right prop pitch, but that's because my propeller conditioners, which is my blue lever here, or this middle one, is not fully up, so we're not worried about that. But the bleed air and the auto feather off is a problem, so let's get our bleed air on. Bleed airs are on. We're going to get this temperature to auto, and we don't need to do anything else. You can see those are off, and now here's the auto feather. We need to come down here to this side, but we need to arm it. There is no icing conditions right now, so I'm not even going to turn the ice protection on, but we do need to turn our pitot heats on. That's for accuracy and our speeds and all that good nature. And everything else right here is looking good. Now we need to go ahead and drop our flaps. And on the next flight, we're just going to scoot through this. We're not going to go do all this crazy talk. All right, so as you can see, flaps are set and flaps are indicating for takeoff. Okay. Now, remember I had mentioned something we are going to want to check about this panel right here. We got our new pneumatic pressure because the engines are on, and we have the cabin air and the gyro, so that's all good because the engines are now on. But we need to also pay attention to one thing, which is our prop amps for de-icing. We have to check it. So you notice it's at 0. Let's turn it to auto, and we should get a reading. Now you see it's in the green. It's in the green, so we're going to leave it to auto. Now, the way that you check the functionality of this, and you would do this in the run-up or another test, I've done it plenty of times, but I'm not going to do it on this flight, but I'm just letting you guys know you can do it. See how it says 30? If you want to do the manual test, you're going to come down here and hold this, and it should say 0. See, it's back to 0. Release it. Boom, right back to where it goes, and the battery goes to where it needs to go. So there you go. There you go, guys. So don't think that this is just a walk in the park type of aircraft, because it most certainly is not. All right, guys, we have flaps set. We have our rudder boost on. We've got our trim set. We've got our pitch trim on. We've got our autopilot all set up. Everything is looking good. We got heading set up right now. We are in a nav radio situation. So now, guys, let's go back to our flight plan, which is what we're going to leave on this side, and we're going to take this side on over to the map. And then we just need to put our advisory frequency on and then look at our taxi. So let's get the map and let's figure out our taxi here. All right, so our taxi is going to be very simple. This is 4 right where we're taking off. So we're going to do a left turn, take Charlie, come. We're not doing a run up, even though, like I said, we will most certainly be taking a look at that. Now, if we want to come back over here, we're going to go back to the map display really quick. So I want to unsuspend this. So now that's unsuspended. So now we have our true localizer all set up. We don't have anything suspended, and we'll unsuspend it over here as well too. All right, guys, so now let's put this one back on the flight plan, and here we go. Let's get ready to get out of here. Lastly but leastly, we need to get our V-speed. So that's where you left click the pilot handbook. You can see those things that we were on before. The checklist is going to come up here because it's just a shortcut at this little hover here, but you cannot get the, well, I think you can get the performance. Let's try something here. Let's see if we can get the handbook as well for this. So if you click this, yep, you still can get it. So you need to go to performance. The runway is at least 10,000 feet. Runway heading is 41. We're not looking for any of this stuff. We can leave that. We're going to use flaps. We're going to take off flaps on approach. Bleed air and anti-ice will be on. And then now you can just hit the set markers, and you're going to see these markers over here move. So just click it, and they move. Guys, to be honest with you, this plane is literally always going to be between this 100 and 1, basically 18 rotate, or this 12. It's always pretty much going to be the same. And it tells you we only need 4,477 feet to take off. And now we can put our recognition lights on and our taxi lights on. And I realize I'm going to bring this back to a low idle to taxi, but I'm going to show you something called beta, because this thing taxis super quickly. So I'll show you I'm going to leave the RPM. Actually, I'm going to leave the idle up the high, and we'll start a really quick taxi, and I'll do my toe check, and then you'll see why we put this in the beta and why I also lower the condition levers and keep the props low, because this thing taxis like crazy. So everything else is set up, guys. Let us go flying for sure. Let me check the chat. Everybody's looking good. Let's go outside and get us a quick look here. I know I was long-winded there, but I just want anybody who's using this plane, if they like it, to know how detailed it is and that it's not a scary thing to fly. Okay, guys, so we have this green, our red light, and this green light's the nav. The other white light there is the recognition, and of course, right here is the taxi light. And we're ready to go. It looks like you guys are represented in the first officer seat. All right, guys, let's get on here and get this thing moving. Let me put my foot on the rudder pedals, and let's do a quick flight controls check. Okay, full back or full up, full down, centered, aileron left, aileron right, centered. And you can actually look at the wing here for some of this. See, aileron left. You know, you pull back, you don't see the elevator in the back, but you can definitely see the ailerons moving. Full right, you can see that. That's good. And now we're going to do rudder right and rudder left. Free and clear. All right, guys. So I'm going to start this taxi at a completely crazy taxi. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put it in the reversers really quick. Just really quick. There's a reason for that. This thing cannot go into what's called beta without that. So watch how fast, as soon as I take this parking brake off, that we start the taxi. I mean, this thing gets on. I'm pushing the brakes already. So, okay, now that we did that, let me put the parking brake back on. That's no good. Now, You have to map your controls to beta, but I'm going to push this into beta. So you're going to see, it's going to sound like it's going to go faster. We're going to actually taxi slower, and you're going to see the power or the first levers come up. See that? They just came up, and you hear the aircraft is, now you can look at that torque is going down, which that's part of the problem. Also, what I'm going to do, so we're a more controlled taxi, and you're going to see, I'm going to bring our fuel condition down to low idle, and I'm going to keep that props as low as possible. Let them settle out. Now we'll release the parking brake, and you guys can see the taxi is definitely not as aggressive as it was. So if you want to taxi this thing nice and easy, you'll do what I just did, because if you do it any other way, you're going to be taxiing super quick. All right, let me do one more thing. I'm going to set the parking brake really quick. Make sure that brake is out, so I didn't hear it. Okay, it is. Let me just do one thing here. Actually, two things. Actually, one thing we forgot to do. We had our transponder on, but we need to get our comms on. And we need to come over here and get it on the advisory frequency. And I'm just going to check and make sure my microphone and everything is broadcasting on VATSIM. So let me just check my push to talk. Okay, push to talk is working. All right, guys, we are good to go. The interface, everything is working. No more shenanigans. Let's roll. All right, parking brake is released. Honolulu traffic. Let me start that again. Let me get my head going here. Honolulu traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango is a King Air 350i leaving general aviation. We'll be taxiing to runway 4 right via Charlie for departure on the Papaya 3 LNY transition, climbing unrestricted to 8,000 for Honolulu traffic. All right, guys, you see that? I mean, it still taxis pretty quick, but it's very, very, very doable. I feel like I'm sitting close. You guys notice that's always my issue. Sitting too close. I think that's a little better. All right. We didn't get any response, so that's a good sign. I haven't had this thing up for a while, guys, so I'm excited to see what happens here. Hopefully that's a good thing. All right, we have joined Charlie. Now, normally you would find somewhere and do the run-up, which basically requires a lot of testing around the aircraft. Maybe instead of explaining everything I did on the next one, maybe once we land, if you guys are interested, I'll just peek at the run-up checklist and show you a few things. You got to know where everything's at. That's the battle. That's really the only big issue in these aircrafts. Know where everything's at and kind of know what they do. Would be my recommendation. Let me see if I tilt my head down here a little bit. Okay, I kind of like that better. And you see, guys, how much I'm still taxing. I'm doing toe braking now, so even with the toe brakes, it gets squirrely. Now, normally we would have done the run-up. That's checking a bunch of things. The only thing we need to do is turn our prop sync on, and we're good to go. All right, I swear this is the smoothest this thing taxis is when I put it in the conditions I did. Even if you taxi in beta, you're not going to get the results that you want. Trust me. This thing is a beast on taxi. You got to be very careful. I got Thrustmaster rotor pedals. You better evenly put pressure on both of those brakes. All right, guys. Let's see. Parking brake is out. So now the last thing we need to do is our prop sync. And do one last look over everything. Anti-ice is to auto. Pitos are on. Ignitions are off. Auto feathers to arm. We're going to leave the engine auto ignition on in case we have an engine failure. And anti-ice is on, of course, for the engines. And the environmental cabin is good to go. Pressurization panel is set. The overhead is looking good. And it is time to go flying. And we can also get this, let's see, let's turn that furnace piece on. let's check the annunciator panel, and we don't have anything there, guys, so we're good to go. So we'll make our announcements and get out of here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get our strobe on, and we'll get our landing lights on, and we'll get out of here. Don't forget, guys, we're getting ready to fly this radio, so this ought to be super interesting. And we'll get our clock started, so let's set that up. So in order to get the clock, select timer, and check you guys out, and we're all looking good. Okay, come down here, and we'll see that parking brake right here be released. Parking brake is released, and then we'll get all of our condition levers and our props to full, and then use the power to take off. Now we have to watch the torque on this thing. Once we get into our climb, we're going to put our prop RPM to 1600, and we're going to watch the torque. Right now we are pretty much torque and temperature limited right now. Once we get a little higher, we will not be torque limited whatsoever. We'll be temperature limited higher, because we'll be reducing that torque back. I'm still in beta right now, guys. All right, let's give ourselves a nice little lineup here. All right, let's hold those brakes. Brakes are held. Let me make sure it's out of beta. See, it went down. It's out of beta. All right, guys, a few things to do. Let's get our fuel mixture all the way up. You can see the torque right there just went way up, shooting up. And now let's get our props up. Props are set to full and out of auto feather. And then finally, guys, we're going to hit control. Clock is verified and started. And our roll is started for takeoff. Honolulu traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango is takeoff, runway 4 right, climbing via Papaya 3, LNY transition, unrestricted up to 8,000, Honolulu traffic. All right, guys, we got a nice little roll, stabilize. All right. Bringing that power up nice and slow. This thing dances around everywhere, as you can see. Airspeed is alive.
Auto feather lights on. 60 knots.
60 knots, cross check. Gotta watch that torque. We're about at 85%. And V1, rotate.
V2.
All right, we got V2. Gears coming up.
Gear up.
Yaw dampers coming on.
Attitudes check. Gear indicates on.
All right, we're just bringing that nose down. You see that nice smooth turn to our VOR. Autopilot is engaged.
Flaps up.
Flaps are coming up. Boy, that was a pretty smooth rollout right there, guys. What do you think?
Flaps indicates up.
Flaps are indicating up. We got to climb. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and put this bad boy into an IAS climb. There we go. Now we are in let me call out. Honolulu traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango is airborne. Clear runway 4 right, climbing via the Papaya 2, or Pele 2 as you were, for Honolulu traffic. All right, guys, so now you can look and see a few important things. We are 2.5 nautical miles from the Honolulu VOR. We're heading towards the VOR, so this should be coming in any minute. I'm kind of curious as to why this thing says it's going away, but oh yeah, because we're going away from the VOR, but we're heading towards the radio. That's why. Now the aircraft, as you see, has automatically went into the VOR 1. See if we can see that city before I keep explaining stuff. So there is Honolulu, downtown. And now I want you guys to see we have captured the VOR. We're directly capturing the VOR right here, which means we should be direct to our first fix. You can check that out here. You can see the aircraft is moving right along there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to go ahead and hit this direct. We're going to hit direct Pele, activate. Now with this CDI, we're going to click GPS. Now you guys can see we did a perfect radio 110 join, and we are direct Pele perfectly with no mishap. So if we were flying ATC, we would have followed all of the rules. Now what we need to do, We see this, the prop over here. We're going to bring that back to 1600 using our prop lever. And you can hear it dial down, but we're still keeping our climb speed. We're climbing at about a rate of about 15. Well, it's going to go down a little bit just because. And one thing you always want to double check on this thing is to make sure the autopilot is always still engaged. Trim, Alt, IIS, autopilot is still engaged. I've had it disengage on me for whatever reason. So we're still climbing, guys. Nice and steady climb. It's a very bumpy ride, though. Very bumpy ride. And we're going to leave our recognition lights on. And we're going to... Actually, we'll leave recognition lights on, take landing off. Just because the recognition lights will keep us nice and bright. So even though we're under 10,000. Even though you normally keep your landing lights on to up to 10,000, our cruise is under 10,000. And guys, we have us a smooth departure out of the Honolulu area, and you guys can really see this thing bouncing around, man, big time. Very short flight. Let's go over to our display here. Now, what you guys notice here is no line on the map. That's because we have to marry it up. Remember, they are not tied together. So what you do to this side, you got to do to this side for visual references. We're just going to hit activate. And now you can see this is our 12 o'clock off the nose of the aircraft facing, even though north is not there. And this is north facing. So it clearly shows you that we're traveling southeast, which is what we're supposed to do. All right, guys, what do you say we go out and get a quick flyby before we keep working here? See her bouncing around. Alright guys, I'm going to check you out in the chat here really quick and then we'll keep working. We are only crossing 6,000 feet, so we're still on our climb. Everybody in the chat is looking good. So apologize for the super long explanations, but there's no other way if I'm trying to teach folks. And if anything on each of my videos, what I hope folks to get out of it is just simply something they learn that I know that I'm passing on, at least about these simulation aircraft, which do mirror the real aircraft. Obviously, they're not the real aircraft, so I'm not going to give you some tips of the real procedures. I'm going to give you tips based off of this, which are based off the real procedure. So I'm going to let you guys know how to get this thing up and flying, basically, if you watch the video. That's my whole goal. Let's go ahead and check fuel flow to make sure there's nothing erratic happening. Fuel flow is good. And let's check the aircraft. Gear is up and clean. We should have did that check afterward. And the flaps are up, which we already knew, of course. And we also want to come over here and check our first officer side. 1,000 to go. These look good. And up top, everything is still looking good, guys. You got to really monitor this thing. Like I said, it is a study level aircraft simulation. So we got about 700 to go. So that's good. And now we can really come in here and take a look at our arrival. Let's see, our first waypoint is Kiki at 4,400 feet. So we'll do some VNAV planning. So actually we can come here and do that now. Utilities, VNAV, flight path, camps at 3,000 feet. I suppose we could. So time to descent to camps is 17 minutes and 50. So we'll leave it there, and we'll see if we get our camps at 3,000 feet. Sorry, I'm just hearing my ring come alive here, seeing who's at the door. I think it's my daughter's coming back. And it is. Chief Sim Pilot says, looking good. Appreciate you, Chief. Appreciate you a lot. All right, guys, so we've achieved 8,000. So now we are going to bring that torque back to our cruise stage of flight, which we're going to bring it back to about 1,500 or so. Or the prop, I should say. So prop is coming back to 1,500, and now we can really utilize the torque. We're going to come up on the power, and we'll put the torque to about 90%. And we're still picking up some good speed there, so there you go. That's why I'm just basically keeping this on for you guys, because if not, you won't see what I'm doing. So I figure I'll keep it on. You guys let me know what you want to see. And boy, we are certainly getting bounced around, so I do not know what type of landing we are definitely going to expect here, but at any rate, let me stay ahead of the aircraft and let us get some weather into Kahului. Hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, Hawaiian nationals and anybody that really knows the name of that. I'll pronounce, I'm probably butchering it, so I'm just apologizing. No disrespect intended. I just don't know how to say it. All right. So the winds are out of 70 degrees of the east at 12 knots. So we're definitely going to stick with runway 2, and the altimeter is 2996. So there's not going to be any change there. Winds gusting to 22. Oh my goodness. And this plane is light as a feather, so this ought to be interesting. Guys, look at the speed that we picked up. Look at the speed that we picked up here, and look how much this thing is bouncing around like crazy here in this suit. Let's see. This thing is continuing to fly the flight path. This is still saying VOR1, which that's not what we needed to say. So let me do present heading real quick. I still think it's basically flying that radio. We need to get this to where it says FMS. So bear with me here. Let's turn that one to GPS 2 and see if that makes a difference. It doesn't. Okay, so now what we have to do is come down here and go to our VOR2. VOR2. Okay, GPS is green. So now GPS is green. That's really what we wanted. Otherwise, we weren't going to be on the actual heading that we needed to be. Now we need to make sure this thing still says nav. And it does. So now we're good to go. Let's make sure we are in fact direct Roche, which we are. So don't let that get you guys. This thing needs to say GPS and not VOR1. So now we're going to continue to fly the right course. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you are going to continue to follow that radio. And that's why I said you got to keep an eye on this thing. And it should say GPS up here. And then it'll say VOR1 once we get there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put our altitude alerter to 3000, because that's going to be what happens when we get the VNAV here. Top of descents in 7 minutes and 31 seconds, guys. And so this aircraft is not hard to fly. You just got to understand what you're doing. Literally. And you'll be okay. Look at the speeds we're able to achieve with the nice cruise power. That torque kind of went up higher than I wanted to, so I'm just going to pull it back right down to about 90%. And our RPMs look good, turbine looks good, fuel flow looks good, and fuel in the tank looks good. So I don't think we'll need to refuel on the next leg. I literally think we'll probably need to refuel before we come back to Honolulu, should we so choose to do that. The air kind of smoothed out, guys. The air kind of smoothed out, so there you go. You guys can just really see we're just, you know, kind of right at the cloud layer level. So I think once we get below this altitude, we will definitely not be in the clouds. So I'm not even worried about it. All right, so what we also want to do is we know there's a disparity of about 5,000 feet between 8,000 and 3,000. So we are going to actually check to see. Benga, how you doing? Thanks for joining the stream, my friend. Always a pleasure to see you in the stream. So what we're going to do is we're going to double check our distances here. So we know using the rule of 3, that's a disparity of 5,000. 3 times 5 is 15. So we'll say 20 nautical miles from camps is where we need to descend, which 20 nautical miles from there would be 4.3 would be essentially once we get Kiki here. We should start descending. So when we're direct Lanai, we'll really start paying attention to our descent here. And again, we already have our let's get the Honolulu VOR in here as well. 148 enter, just to make sure we are crisp and clean. Actually, we need to switch that to our we need to switch it actually to our ILS is what I meant. Bingo says, oh, that plane is really nice to fly. Well, for me, it is OL. He says, LOL. Bingo, I like flying this aircraft. This is the Airfoil Labs King Air 350i, and it is an awesome simulation. Okay, guys, let's get back to work because I don't want to lose track because these flights are happening pretty quick today versus yesterday's long flight. The next flight's going to happen really quick. We're going to land, get on station. So we'll keep our map going because there's top of descent right there, so we can have a visual reference. Now let's get in here and do some charts. Okay, so ILS or localizer runway 2. This is the cool thing about this. Watch this. So we're gonna basically go over to airport info, and we're gonna go to frequencies, and we're gonna go down, and we'll see if we get the approach frequency. We'll see if we get ILS frequencies in here. ILS 2 is right here, so you're just gonna simply click it. It goes in. Booyah! So now we know it's 11010. Switch that over. Now we need to come back and we need to look at the final approach heading. So we're going to go back and we're going to go to our approach chart right here. We're going to go full, and we see final approach course is 24. See that? Final approach course is 24, 11010, which we have in there obviously. So now we need to get this set up to where the final approach course is 24. So what I like to do is come evenly to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. We are now set up for ILS. We have the heading on 24, and we need to get the actual course heading to that as well. And the course setting's not going to move right now because I need to be in the VOR situation. So we'll have to get that in pretty quick, which is 24. Which the good thing is I have this lined up, so I can basically just put this needle right in there. So there you go. Let's go back to our VNav, guys. Oops, that's charts. Nope, we need to come to utilities. Go to VNav. We got about 2 minutes left for our approach. Bingo, not sure if this is a weird question, but how long is your longest flight? Like ever? Like 20 hours, bro. Many years ago, I flew VATSIM. It was an overnight flight, and I basically flew from California all the way over, I believe, to somewhere in the Middle East. So yeah, that's crazy. How about yourself, Bingo? What's your longest flight, brother? Alright, so we're getting ready to get to our top of descent, not too quick. So there's one thing that I do want to check, guys. Let's come over here and go to charts. And I want the airport information. So I just basically want the runways there. So we're landing on runway 2. And our GA parking is off to the left. So we need to land and go off to the left. So if we don't get Echo or Foxtrot, we'll just take it all the way down, come back, pick up Echo. And so when we land off to the left for our charter flight in this general aviation parking. So remind me, guys, off to the left. All right, 1 minute to descend. And here's our target. We'll be about, we're going to probably plan for 1,500 feet. And you can see the aircraft is continuing to fly its course path. And look, that just means we're getting ready to descend. So let's pull this power back slightly, reduce some speed. And we need to come here. And we need to arm our VS. And we need to do altitude arm, which we're doing. And we need to wait for top of descent to start, which is in 40 seconds. We can go ahead and start it now, though, guys. So we're going to do a few clicks here. You're going to come here, see the arrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we need to pull the power back. See that? One thing, if you don't pull the power back, is what's going to happen is this will not do what you're asking it to do. So let's see. We need only 3 more clicks, roughly. 1, 2, 3. So there are some things that are primitive. Binga says San Francisco to London Heathrow was his longest flight, and it was smooth for some reason. It was smooth, man, because you were behind the controls, brother. That's why it was smooth. Louis traffic. November 350 Kilo Tango is currently direct. Kiki descending down to 3000. We'll be doing a left turn at camps for final for runway 2 full stop for Honolulu traffic. All right, so if there's anybody there, we just notified them. We are coming in, man. Now, technically, I should have taken off the auto feather during flight, but we need it on for landing. So, and this is where 299.6, we're not making any changes on the altimeter, so our cabin pressurization wouldn't need any change as well. It's super windy. We're still not quite pitched far down as I would like, so let's... Now what I'm going to do is, as soon as we make our turn, actually, let's see. We're direct there now, so what I'm going to do is I am going to get it out of the 24 heading. I'm going to put the aircraft in heading mode. And now we're going to get our ILS stuff situated. So now I'm going to just put the aircraft in heading mode. Now we're going to come here to the CDI, so we need to come back over here, back to the map feature, localizer. Now see this? It doesn't say VOR1, so we got to go and check it here. Now that says localizer 1, so we can most certainly do that. Now we have to get the heading. Actually, let's do VOR to get that heading on the right one. Okay, there's localizer 1. Now we need to get the heading to 24. All right, 30. Let's look at our speed. There we go, 24. And we can look. It's not quite time to arm it yet. So there's Ocampos right there. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure we hit this. And we just need to be above 3000. We need to make sure we hit this less than 30 degrees. Less than 30 degrees. So as we get closer, I'm going to start angling the aircraft over. Once we get to about right here, I'll do a little bit of a left turn and arm the approach. All right, we're not doing too bad. Let me check the chat really quick so that I can get us on the ground. And Chiefs and Pilot, and shouts out to the Mrs. Sanchez. Welcome, Bingas. What Chief is saying. That's right. Binga says legit zero turbulence for his flight over 14 hours. But we don't have that now, Binga. We got plenty of turbulence right now. Look at these weather conditions, guys. All right, so now we can get done using this. Now I'm going to use this so that we make a nice capture to the localizer. And I'm just turning my heading a few degrees off. And then now we're going to arm that approach mode. So you're going to come down here and hit this approach button. So approach is armed, and it'll let us know when the localizer's there. So now what we're gonna do, guys, let's bring that torque up. I'm gonna bring it up to 16.5 for landing, and then we'll get it all the way up. And let's keep our speeds modest here, about 160 for our approach. Let's double check our map here, and as you can see, we have localizer. Looks like it should have been captured by now. Oh, approach is captured and glide slope is active, guys. So now we can kind of not sit back and relax, but let's do our last checks. Okay, auto feathers on. Let's get our landing lights on. We kept our recognition on. Let's do some icing here, just for the windshield, just because we did go through a little bit of the soup, and everything else looks good here, guys. And now you can see how that localizer lined up nicely, guys. Look at this. We lined up nicely to the localizer, and we have a lateral and vertical indications, as well as the localizer here on the HSI, guys. Our speed is looking good. Our landing zone is between 100 and basically 110. We're not landing full flaps because of the wind, so here's our choices: up, flap approach, or down. We're going to do flap approach, just like we took off, guys. Right now the aircraft is doing enough speed where we don't need that. Once we get behind this blue line right here, we'll do our flaps. And if we want to take a look at and see exactly where we're at, we just hit back, and you can see, there we go. We can even go out a little bit, and there's the runway right there, guys. Remember, we're turning left off to go to the general aviation and get the next flight set up. All right, we don't need, and you're gonna see this, we don't need to worry about the altitude. We'll keep it at 3,000 for if we're going mist. We're gonna keep our speed right here. We're gonna start dialing it down, actually, once we see the glide slope moving. Okay, it's slowly moving. All right, it's action time, guys. Because our next waypoint is actually Tebs at 2400, and we're approaching it. So that glide slope is on its way down. All right, let's go approach flaps. Lower that nose a little bit. And we are not quite. All right, we're getting an alert because we don't have our landing gear down. Let's go ahead and drop our gear, add that extra drag in so we can have a most stable flight as possible. Chief Sim says, let's get it. Appreciate it. Binga says, wait, I think I've seen that airport before. My friend did a small flight to there. All right, let's get it, guys. We are bouncing around here. Speed's looking good. All right, so that speed dropped down to 120, which is a good approach speed, guys. But we are bouncing around, and we are not doing any more flaps than this. We have captured a full ILS and glide slope. Pretty soon here, we'll be disconnecting the autopilot using the Yoke here, and we're going to manually bring it in. Captain Geo says, yo, Geo, way to show up right as we are on a bumpy approach here in this King Air 350. And we're not going to do a landing replay on this first one, guys, because you know how I feel about that. Landing replays usually mess my sim up, but we can do a quick little check. Let's do that again, man. That thing looks so nice. Woof! Boy, we are smoking in for real, my friends. All right, guys, let's get a visual of that runway. Bring my seat view up a little bit. We're gonna keep our speeds right here. The runway's right here, guys. We're right on the poppy lights. One red and one white. For this type of poppy system, it's not your normal. Keep an eye on our speed, but we have a pretty good approach. All right, guys, as you can look here on the primary flight display, we are 1,803 feet AGL above ground level, not MSL, but AGL. Ooh, that speed's trying to drop, these winds. I don't know how this approach is going to go. I'm going to pretty much try to keep the autopilot on I would say pretty much the minimums, which is radio altitude. The decision height for this one is 500. That's probably because I didn't reset it, but I'm going to leave it to that. So we got about 1,000 to go before our decision height. Captain Shield Kilo Mill, yes sir, King Air. All right, as you can see, 1,000 feet to minimums, which is set to 500. That's why he called that out. Chief Sim Pilot says the crew is here. Yes sir, the crew is here. You guys see that air smoothing out? I think I'm gonna be able to take over here in a minute. I don't know what it is, man. Yesterday I had a super windy approach as well. All right, guys, we're getting ready to, let's do our last checks here. Landing gear down, 3 green. All right, props to full. We got high idle on the fuel and the power is contained. Guys, it is time to put my foots down and get ready to landing 3 green. Hallelujah traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango is a King Air 350i on final approach runway 2 for full stop. All right, guys, let's go ahead and disconnect by the touch of this red button. My controls. Now we're going to keep the flight director on for a reference here.
Feet to minimums.
200 feet to minimums. Check. Pull that power back slightly. Let's trim her down. She's trying to lift that nose up with that wind.
Minimums.
A lot of trim play here, guys. A lot of trim play. Slightly down on the power. I'm using some rudder here. We're crabbing in here, guys, basically. We're crabbing in, baby. It's a technique. If you don't know about it, you better learn about it. All right. Don't let this approach fool you. We could still have a hard landing, man, because these winds, it's still super gusty. All right, pulling back on the power slightly.
100 feet.
All right, I'm going to have to do some, basically some left rudder once I touch down. All right. It's that wind. I told you we had a gust. All right, an acceptable landing. Guys, with the wind, man, I tell you. All right, we're all over. That wind is just blowing us everywhere. We got reversers out. We got speed bleeding. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm happy with that. The way things were going, I am so happy with that. That thing was so windy, that gust.
40 knots.
You know, I know we floated it a little bit, but at least it was acceptable, reverse free. All right. Props and everything down for that reasonable taxi. All right, guys. That, I tell you what, it was an acceptable landing. There was no way I was getting center line on that like yesterday. There was no way. Hallelujah traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango, exiting runway 2 to the left, heading to general aviation parking. Hallelujah traffic. All right, guys. Flaps up. I'm going to check you guys out in the chat. I promise you. That was very intense. Let's get this thing into beta. Let's get our idle down to low. Landing gears up, props down. Let's get this thing into beta. It's now in the beta. Let's get these landing lights off. And all right. Okay, that's pretty good. We got all that off. Let's go ahead and taxi in, guys. Let's get our map up. So we're going to take this and then we're going to join basically Echo. Got our map here. All right, don't worry, guys. I'm going to check you out in the chat. This thing still taxis pretty aggressively. You make sure those conditions are all the way down. There we go. All right, let me see if I can get it in a setting here where I can just taxi and look at you guys. All right, Oatmeal, this is the plane. This plane is the real deal. Yes, sir. This is the full simulation, baby. That's what I was explaining. That's why the first part of the video was so doggone long, because this isn't. All right, guys, we got to slow it up here. We're going to cross this runway. Let me pay attention here really quick. All right, we got to get those strobes we left on, which is kind of okay, I guess. All right, crossing a runway. This is the same runway we just landed on, of course. All right, and I believe this is Echo over here. We're going right over here, guys. All right, guys, that hopefully we get a not so windy approach on the next one. Because man, I told you that approach was looking good. Then what I say? I said don't count me on that. Turn the strobe. I just came to like a little complete stop because it's not so convenient to get these lights off. Definitely where a instrument panel would take place there. All right, what we got here? Chief send hold those wins. Of course, appreciate you, Yoke, Captain Shaq, Chief, great trip, the crew. Those wins, yes, big wins. I shall return. This plane is the real deal. God, that was cool. Wait a minute, do you use Track IR? Yes, I do, Captain Shaq. I've been using Track IR this whole time. Yes, sir. Can't live without it. It says, Binga, what's up? Binga says, hi. Yes, I do not know if I could even do this flights. I used to do it all the time, obviously, prior to Track IR, but I've had this Track IR version 5 since 2014. My wife bought it either for Christmas or for a birthday present. Either way, my baby's hooked me up with Track IR. It was on the wish list and my baby got it for me. Guys, if you get Track IR, man, it's a game changer. So I knew we were supposed to go off left of the field. This looks like the terminal side though. I wonder if we could, I think we need to go off to the right of the field is what we needed actually. So we're going to cross back over. We don't want to go to the terminal. That's for jet. Actually, that's the fire department. We're not going to go over there. Let's be smart about ourselves and come back on over. So we just basically made our turn off. And we're just going to come straight across. And that's where we're going to disembark the passengers. Strobe is on, of course. Landing lights on. Again, checking the runway left, checking the runway right. And again, guys, I can't tell you how much the simple tools I'm telling you how to taxi this aircraft are going to work, so you're not taxiing way too quick. I feel like since we've been landing, we've been playing peekaboo with the landing lights and the strobes, man. Which, quite frankly, is my fault. I should have went off to the left. Oatmeal says 2014. Dang. Okay, so let me ask you now that you got. Is it a Shaq? My man, you know I gotta keep. You know, like Chief Sim said, we're the crew. All y'all checking this. I can't lie to you, man. Yes, Track IR is so great. You can actually pause it. What you don't see me doing is a lot is pausing it because sometimes mine will not unpause again. But yes, you can pause Track IR. You can map buttons to your joystick. You can pause it. And Track IR is to join, or you set up another setting where it's not bound to Track IR. See that? And you could still do your whole move around like you normally do, and then you just come back to your Track IR setting and boom. All right, guys, this is where we're letting these people off at, so we can come right on over here and get ready to shut this bad boy down for our next leg, which could be well, we're doing good. I got to check the time here. You know, tomorrow's Friday, so we might be flying again tomorrow Friday, so I got to pace myself here. All right, guys, we are going to set that parking brake, and of course now we need to do a few different things. We're going to get the ground power on pretty quick so we don't lose our batteries all the way. All right, we got to let those engines pipe down a little bit. Okay, they are officially there. Now what we're going to do is make sure our anti-ice is off. We need to turn anything that can draw power on here. We'll leave the nav on. Let's get the recognition light off and the taxi light off, of course. Bada bing, bada boom. I don't know, man. Do you guys want me to try to do a replay? And if it crashes, we can just restart the aircraft here. This one loads up pretty quick. Generators. Yeah, we actually need to turn those off, but we need to turn a bunch of stuff off first. Let's get this off. As you guys see, man, this thing takes up a lot of power. Master lights, okay. So what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna do a little trick here, okay? Because I want to run this on ground power, and we know the ground power hooks up on the right. We are actually going to shut the right engine off first. So let's turn the right generator off. Okay, right generator's off, and we're going shut down for the right engine. Let's make sure that spools back, and then I'm going to get the ground power team out here. Because I tell you what, if you don't manage your energy well here, you're going to be in a bad way. Let's go in the back, and I'll check you guys out in chat. You can see that engine is slowly trying to shut off. She's dialing back. And right now you just hear that ignition. It was trying to restart it. We got to make sure this propeller is stopped completely before we have the crew come out and put the ground power on. Okay, right side propeller is safe. Let's call for ground power. Let's go back in the cab and make sure we see the ground power out there. There's our ground power right there. So the crew brought it up to a safe aircraft on the right side. So now what we can do is we can turn that on. Get that generator off. All right. Everything back to neutral. All right. And now we are truly on ground power. We'll leave our inverters on. Let us make sure that we have the ground power. Yep, ground power is looking good. DC load is off. Now what that's going to do is that's going to prohibit us from, or that's going to make us so we're not draining our battery power. Let's get the door open so the passengers can disembark on this leg. And we'll get the passengers going on to the next leg. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That was definitely a test of my flying skills. I am not going to lie. Let's go outside, get a little music on. Oh, there's one thing I got to do. You got to turn these ignitions off for sure, because that thing, you can hear it outside. It's still trying to do its best to fire up. So there you guys go. Let me make sure I'm doing one thing. I want to make sure it's not just necessarily draining off. So let's do open the bus. There we go. So now it's for sure is back on the external power. There we go. Perfect. All right, guys. So let me check you guys out in the chat. Get some music on for our next planning. All right. What do we got here? What's your best FPMs? I've gotten 60 frames with this thing here, Benga. Okay, Shaq said that. Yep. This man. Yep, get this man a contract. He got me. Shaq, man, you got me rolling over here. Benga says, all right, I got to go to bed because I got an exam tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for joining us, Benga. Captain Shaquille, good luck. Benga, thanks. Captain Shaq, yes, please don't blow me away from that prop. Man, you got me laughing over here. All right, guys, let me do a time check. So what we're going to do, we're not going to go all the way back to Honolulu. It's 8:06 here, California time. I got a big day tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is one more leg. We're going to go on over to Hilo, which is our next leg. So in the meantime, let us just do one quick, really easy thing here, which is going to be to set the fuel again. Okay, the aircraft kind of moved up and down, and we can get a few musics on here until we get ready for our next leg here, guys. Let's get something good here. I like this song. Yes, call me a nerd, but this is one of my jams. All right, guys. So it's time to start scheduling for the next route. Looks like Leminar Research here has got this guy. He doesn't need to be behind that thing anymore. All right, so hopefully we have a good route gonna try something here. I'm gonna try to load it and see if I don't lose the flight plan for the next one. Let's go menu. Let's go delete active flight plan. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's add the waypoint, which is gonna be FHOG. And now let's look at our flight plan for the next. This next leg, we're only doing 9,000. Hopefully we don't have to do a VOR. As fun as that is, hopefully we don't have to. That way we can just get her in and get her out. Let's see here. IFR route analyzer. These are the actual routes, folks. Fog. And the next one is PHTO for kilo, or hilo, I'm sorry. So we're going to fly 9,000. And oh no, hi to Barbie, Paris, Victor 15 to ITO. So let's go ahead and program this in here, guys. So the first thing we're going to do is put in PHT, Kilo International, which will be our last leg for the day. I'm not going to do a third leg. I didn't expect this one to go that long, but I did a lot of yip yapping on the first one. So let's get out of here. All right, load procedure departure. We are doing this bad boy with the transition of Barbie, runway 2, absolutely. And transition Barbie, load that procedure. And then Paris. This one is interesting because we don't have an arrival, so we'll have to do all this planning on our own. So after Barbie, we're going to insert after. We're going to do Paris. Paris. Paris, Hawaii. And then from Paris, Hawaii, we're going to do an airway. So let's load this airway. It'll be Victor 15. And it's Victor 15 to ITO, which is the Hilo VOR, which is right there. And we're going to load that. And let's look at the miles on this thing. So 59 miles is quite a bit of a good leg. We'll be able to do some planning there. So we're 9,000. We're not going to do this one yet because I know for sure I'm going to lose it on this side. Let's see if we can keep it on this side over here. I'm not going to even plan anything else, except I want to look at the chart for Hilo. Let's see here. HTO. All right, so those winds out of Hilo, what are they looking like? There we go. That beat dropping low, baby. All right. Ooh, winds are calm. It looked like they pretty much. They're usually western winds. Earlier we had a modified VFR 360. So let us see what is going to happen. Let's look and see what type of approaches we have in here, because I've flown here a long time ago, but based off of those winds, if we're calculating, typically the trend is a western landing. This is ILS 26, which I think that's what we're going to take. Let's see what other approaches they have. Are now so 26 seems to be the dominant runway, which I anticipated there and talking to you guys. So we're gonna make the approach into 26. So let's go back to our flight plan and let's load an approach there. This is such a short flight, we don't have time to be messing around, man. Vectors, let's take it from Hilo. And essentially we're going to pass right over the field and then do a turnaround, if I remember, on this one. So let's load that. Okay. See, there's a procedure turn, which I think we are going to do this procedure turn. So if you ever want to look at the flight plan thing on this, you don't have to just... Okay, so most people, what they're going to do is they're going to go to map. Oh, I want to see the whole flight plan. Which, you can't really do it from here. But you can, you know what? And it's got, let me do something here. I like that. Let me turn those airways on. Airways off. Let's turn airways on. We'll do low for now, which will show up on our map, which will start showing airways. But if you guys want to see the flight plan using the Reality GTN 750, then you can simply come right over here. Green light, auto brokers, what is good? Man, green light, you missed a crazy. You got to rewind it back. That we landed it with an average landing, but the winds were crazy. Welcome to the stream, green light. As always, thanks for checking out. If you guys haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, help me grow it, and also push that like button so we put the icing on the cake. All right, guys. So if you guys want to see your flight plan, you're going to hit this menu button and you're going to come over here and hit preview. This is going to give you the preview of the whole flight plan minus the arrival. So, and you can zoom in. So basically, our arrival should look like we pass right over ITO, come straight over the field, and then we do our procedure turn and come back into the field. Let's see now if we can see that on the map. Let's see what we can get here, guys. So this is the way we're going. This is the pretty cool thing about this. You can just drag it. They're showing that airway. So you guys see that? The procedure turn is right here. So we're going to come, we're going to do a right turn here. We're going to hook boogie all the way back to the left, and boom. So that's the procedure turn right after Wakuk. So if you guys want to see what that looks like, so no flying a VOR this time. This is heading to intercept. So there's not vectors, that's an intercept for that heading. So we should be good to go there. Because if it would say vectors if we had to get on a radial or something like we did before. So this should just be an intercept. So we can do an LNAV or GPS flight director guided thing. And let's look at that procedure turn. Okay, so ITO, Wakuk, there's the procedure turn back to Wakuk. So what is this telling us, guys? This is telling us that we need to be, now let's check our VNAV out. And let's see what it deems the first VNAV important point. It's gonna be Wakuk. You know, I can kind of agree to that. I think as long as we're hitting Wakuk at 1,800 feet, the rest is good. So once we get in the air, we're gonna just Wakuk. I like it. You know, we just need to fly it until we get to our first Wakuk point and be at 1,800 feet. Since we got to do the course, we have to do a procedure turn on this thing, guys. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. And then we know we're landing runway 26. So let's also come over here into the charts and go to the airport information for frequencies, and let's get the 26 going here. Might help if we switch the airport again. Alright guys, we're getting ready to get out of here, so we're going to click this again. Now we can come back to the airport information, and we want to go to the frequencies. Let's get runway 26. ILS is 11070. So we're going to switch that over now. We're not even going to do it over here because you guys know my problems. So 11070 is the ILS for Hilo. Let's also get the runway head, the course heading. We can throw that in now while it's in where we need it to be. So let's look at the approaches. 26 full screen. Okay, approach course heading is 259. Once we get this on, we'll program that in, guys. So let's see, we got our fuel all back in. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get out of here, guys. See if that door closes. All right, as soon as this song is done, we are done. All right, music is done right on time, of course. And checking you guys out in the chat. Everybody's looking good here. Thanks for the 11 likes so far. If you guys want to keep liking it so we can do it. So like I said, we'll see if I lose everything I put in here. If not, we'll get it back in there quick, because we are about to do another start. Let's make sure that door actually closed. I don't feel confident that it did, but it did. You know what? I'm so paranoid. Let's go out and look. You guys remember what we did on the first time? We're going to do a right engine start. Left engine start first. So the door is closed. We are all secured. The new passengers are up. There is no chocks. There is no covers of the engines or inlets or pitos. So we're going to get on and going. Let me just pick one thing for our taxi, since we're taking off runway 2. So what we're going to do is cross back over and take taxiway is at Alpha. Yeah, because we don't want to do a back taxi. So we're going to cross the runway again on Foxtrot and take Alpha all the way down to Charlie and get out of here. So Foxtrot, Alpha, Charlie. And let's write that down so when we call it out, we know what we're doing. Runway 2. All right. So let us get our beacon, which never turned off. So we left that on. Boom, boom, boom. That's on. Now let's get our props out of the feather location, and we'll leave that down because we're going to do a right engine start. Let's go over here and check, guys. Boom, boom, boom. Everything is clear. All levers are in the neutral position. And before we forget, guys, let's retrim the aircraft. Flaps are up. Everything is off. And we're good to go, guys. So without further ado, let's come over to the left here, take a look, call out starting left engine, calling that out right now. So we're going to come down here. We got to put that ignition back on. All right, let's look at that. 17 is a good number to have. All right, we're putting in some juice in the left side. Once we start, we're definitely going to remember to turn it off so we don't drain the battery. That starter is off. We're going to go to high idle initially. There's high idle. Up and hold it. Boom. Inverter on. Disconnect that power. Let's close them. Manually tie them back to normal. Hey, we didn't lose any power thus far. Hopefully it stays that way. And now we can disconnect the ground power, guys. Shaq, you're going to be safe to take that ground power out of here, brother. Thank you. Thank you for that, man. All right, let's check this right side clear, calling out starting right side. Right side is starting. All right, ignition and autos to the up. And let's go observe the prop in all its glory. All right, let's introduce fuel. Fuel is being introduced. GPU is out and clear to start. Thanks, Shaq. Man, I love having you in the stream, brother. You too much, man. You make me laugh, brother, and that's good. It's never, good to take your life too seriously. Obviously, work hard, play hard, be responsible, but obviously have fun with good acquaintances and friends when you can. So, Shaq, man, thank you for always keeping it light and in your streams and not for taking yourself too seriously at all. Let's go ahead and go to high idle. All right, guys, we're going to come right down here and do the same thing. Oops. Up to reset. Hold it. Inverter on. All right, guys. And most certainly we need to turn that ignition off. Keep everything else on. And let's get, you guys remember this is off, so let's get our avionics all up into it. We got our trim set, and we're gonna have to now program this side. Okay, wow, Mercedes out making plane engine now. Sheesh. Captain Shaq says let's do it, and Greenlight says let's do it in this life. GPU's clear, and I see you guys were having a nice healthy conversation there. All right, guys, so remember we said we got to mirror, and I love it. So we kept everything in here as far as our waypoints were concerned. So let us reduplicate that, if you will, and then we'll get the altimeter and the weather. Okay, so we got to come back in here, guys, back, and then back again, flight plan. And we're at fog, of course, so let's add the first waypoint, which of course is the next field that we're going to, which is Hilo. And let's just reproduce everything here. We're going to load a departure. The departure is the Onihai 2 Barbie transition. Load that departure. Then from Barbie, we said we're doing a Paris VOR, or Paris fix, I mean. So we are going to insert after. That's where we said Paris. And then from Paris, we're loading an airway, which is Victor 15. We're exiting that at the ITO. VOR, load that. Now we can go and load one more procedure, which will be the approach. And the approach is ILS 26, not from vectors, but from ITO. And boo boo boo, we'll load that. It's gonna give us this. Boom. And there we go, guys. So we are all scheduled up there. And let's actually, I'm sorry, let's go ahead and double check, make sure our route looks good there in the preview. And it does. So we're gonna come up northwest, make an easternly, or northeast, make an easternly turn, and then southeast down into Paris, into ITO. And we're going to use basically we're going to use the final approach fix of Wocket in order to plan for our vertical navigation, guys. So we're not doing too bad at all. And like I said, we're gonna do 9,000 on this one. So let's get this all set up. Now what we can do, since we are not flying a VOR, we can get this on GPS. But just remember, that doesn't change this to the GPS until we come down here. And you got to hit this button specifically right here. This is course active. It's got to say GPS. That says localizer 2. That's not what we want. Now it says GPS, of course. And why is it red is a good question. Let's do this. Let's activate the nav on the GPS. Let's do Alt select vertical speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that might get us higher than the 10 degrees. Curious why this thing's still saying GPS. Let's hit it one more time. Oh, goes to localizer. Localizer again. Localizer 2. All right, we'll figure out what we're doing over here. We got our inverters on, avionics, do. Okay, then back to normal. And I'm trying to figure out why we don't have this. Let's see. Let's look at the departure really quick. And let me just make sure we fly headings, because this should be in the green already. Nav data. Nope, that's not it. bearing, VOR. All right, I think it because we don't have a waypoint slave to the GPS per se, but the flight plan is definitely in there, and so let's just make sure we're flying the right course heading. So let's come over here to charts, and we'll figure out why that GPS is not liking it in there as of yet. Oops, let's go to the chart here. Let's go to our departure. Let's come back to this airport now. All right, let's look at our departure now, and we are departing on this one. Let's read the narrative. So essentially, let's see, runway 2, climb heading 24 to 20,000, then right climb, turn heading to 7,000 to Onoi on the OGG 23DME V heading 115. So let's read that again. Right, climb heading 24 to 21, then right turn to 7,000. So essentially we're going to come up, right turn, and then we're going to get on this radio. So, you know, I wonder if we should just fly this VOR in order to get out of here, because otherwise we might miss an opportunity to make sure we're on course, and this is above 7,000. So this looks like this is 23 nautical miles total. Let's add that up. 8 and 14 is 22. Yeah, so we got a ways to get there. So this is potentially why this is not saying. So let's do this. So we're doing the radio 85 off the Maui, or the Maui VOR of OGG, and so we're gonna do another VOR departure. So let us get this programmed in 115.1, just because I don't know why, but this will get us on course no matter what, guys. So we're gonna fly another departure here. Let's get this back on GPS. Right now it's on the localizer, or VLOC, which is the same thing. So now we got to come back in here and continue to. Okay, so the radio heading is 85, so 115.10, and the heading is, course heading is 85. I'll check you guys out in chat. Okay, so now we got VOR, so we're gonna start getting, so there's OGG, and we need, okay, it's on course 24, but we need 85. '84, one click. All right, 85. So now we know that and it should be, let's see, VOR1, that's active. I get that. Let's see, here's runway, so that's heading 2, so it should be a right turn. So in order for us to intercept that, guys, remember what we're gonna do? We're gonna put this at about, let's see, boom, 10, 20. We'll put it to about right here to intercept that for our heading. Now we need to come back down here, and I'm gonna check you guys out. There's just a lot going on here, and we'll put this into heading mode and to nav to arm it, and now it should be, there we go, reflecting that, boom. And then once we get up and airborne, we should be able to switch it over to the GPS and do all that good stuff. So there we go, guys. So we'll do that. We'll do kind of what we did last time. We got 9,000 programmed in, of course. We have altitude arm. Let me go double check that again and check the chat, then we'll get out of here. Alt arm, heading nav arm, vertical speed. Perfect. All right, chat, let me check you guys out. All right. Is that the engine that's in the PC-12? One sounds great too. Greenlight says, yes, sir. And TBM, Greenlight Auto Brokers, and Cessna Grand Caravan. Yes, sir. All right, guys. Shaq says he loves the sounds of these engines. Sounds like a ticked off beat. You got that right. It's going to be ticked off. We don't fly it right. That's for sure. Okay, guys, let's get takeoff flaps going here. Okay. All right, selected and indicated, of course. And let's get our pitch trim where we need to go. You guys know we need to cycle it. All right, pitch trim is good to go. Rudder boost is off, so we need to do that as well too. Rudder boost is now on. Now we need our pitot heats. Prop sync can come on. Auto feathers already armed. And our bleeds are open. Of course. Now don't forget how I like to taxi, so let's see, that didn't work out too well this time. Looks like we're gonna have to go for another start on these bad. It didn't work. Usually I can whip it up and it doesn't do anything, so let's restart those. Oh, there we go. There we go. That was a close one, but the props are down. I think we got to save here. That's the problem with having them individually, but I only have one knob for the fuel conditioner, so we saved ourselves there. All right, full fuel. There we go. So we saved ourselves there. We still got everything up here. Whew, that was a close one, guys. I would have just restarted the engine quick. We had enough battery power. All right, let's check the chat. We're out of here. Chat says, let's see. Incessant chat saying, what do you prefer, TBM or PC-12? I actually have both those aircraft, guys. Captain says the 5 blades on the PC-12 is beautiful. Greenlight says, you think about, they're pretty much the same plane, which they are, except for the cargo door in the PC-12 and the procedures. Yeah, that cargo door is a big bonus. Exactly. And the 5 blades on the PC-12. I like the PC-12 personally. I did all my I ratings and Pilot Edge on the PC-12, but I do have the I also have the TBM as well, guys. So I know you guys are asking each other, but I threw my 2 cents in there. I'm a PC-12 guy myself. I almost thought about flying that today. All right, guys, the weather, as you were here in Hallelujah, is hopefully it got a little better. All right, altimeter is 299.7. The winds are out of east at 50 degrees at 11 knots, and it doesn't say gusting anymore, so hopefully that kicked. Still VFR conditions, so there you go. I'm just going to get the weather ready for our next destination, which will be the last one for us today. 299 is calm. And we said we're doing runway 26. All right, guys, let's get our landing lights on, or our taxi lights. Recognition lights are coming on. Beacon is on. Strobe is on. Flaps are definitely set to take off. The trims are up. And there is nothing on the annunciator panel, guys. So let's do this. Hallelujah traffic. November 350 Kilo Tango is going to be taxiing the runway 2 via Foxtrot Alpha Charlie for departure on the OEI 2, climbing up unrestricted to 9,000. Okay, the last thing I forgot to do, guys, is I need to, really quick, bear with me, I need to file a new flight plan on VATSIM. Let me copy it. So much to do, man, on this little bitty flight. You would think, oh, just get it up. You know, I should have just done VFR, but yeah, right. I was thinking about it, but the weather wouldn't have been too feasible with that. You saw those winds. You definitely need IFR here. This is going to be super quick, guys, so don't worry about this. We're at fog, going to O, and we'll just say Honolulu is the alternate. Flying time on this one's going to be about 35 minutes. And we're doing 9,000. And that's filed. And we're out of here. Still no ATC, guys. So we're doing good. All right, my man, you have to get out of our way. Because we are out of here, folks. All right, let's ride. Yes, sir. I agree. There goes my furry co-pilot. My daughter was supposed to come in here and get a camera. I don't know where she disappeared to. Parking brake is released. All right, we're just going to cross the runways using this wonderful taxiway here. Let's go into beta. All right, we were in the beta. We actually started the aircraft in beta, and I believe that was why when I did those levers that it dialed down, because I was still in beta. All right, folks. Here comes Foxtrot. Then we'll pick up a left on Alpha. Here we go again with the strobes and taxi lights game, or landing lights. I would have just as soon as leave them on. All right, anyway, we're not going to do that. We're going to do the actual... We made it this far, guys, so hopefully we can get a butter on the next one. The winds are calm. We're going to do our procedure turn. We'll turn back inbound. We'll already be at the altitude, but the problem is we have to do the procedure turn because the arrival has us coming directly over the field, with the procedure turn right on back course for the heading. All right, slow it down a little bit. All right, there we go. Now we'll be turning those on one more time. Taxiway is clear to the right, even though we are going to the left. So don't forget how to taxi the thing nice and slow. Put it in beta. Pull those props all the way down to almost where it's feather, but not quite. And then get your fuel conditioner levers into low idle. Now remember, guys, this is the second time we're going to be flying a VOR, just because my GPS was like, you know. But again, I think it's because we didn't have an active waypoint on there, so we had to fly the intercept before it became active, heading towards Onohai. I'm hoping that's it. If not, we'll be doing some manual flying, but that's got to be it, because there's nothing else that needs to slave to that. Avionics are on, the inverters are on. All the power to the EFIS is on, so. But this leads me to believe once it gets something active, it goes active like it's supposed to, so. And I believe full length is Charlie. Get our V speeds confirmed still. All right, here's Charlie. Telling you, using those toe brakes are squirrely on this thing, man. Let's keep it nice and slow. Let's just get our stuff on and do a roll and takeoff, guys. All right. Shoot, we never stopped the clock last time. Let me stop right here. Let me see if I can All right, we might have to cycle through them. All right, I don't know how to reset it. We'll start it again and whatever. All right, everything is on. All we got to do is get out of here. Final does look clear. Hallelujah, traffic number 350 Kilo Tango is entering runway 2 for departure on the only high 2, climbing unrestricted up to 9,000 Hallelujah traffic. All right, guys, let's go to Hilo. Don't forget, we got to get it out of beta, which we have to look down when we do that because we might think we're in beta and we're not, and then we hit the button and then we're really putting ourselves back into beta, and that's not good to take off that way. So let's line up nice and easy now that we made our announcement that we are occupying the runway. I'm just glad it's not raining right now. All right, let's look down. It should go down. Boom, it went down. Props to full. Mixture to fuel. Hold those brakes. And let me double check one thing here really quick. Parking brake is set. I'm just a little confused. I thought we were doing a... Let's see here. Let's go departure. Something's not looking right. I thought we were doing a right turn. Okay, runway 2, climb on heading 24, climbing right turn via OGG radio 195 to beach intersection. That's the problem. Radio 195. So that was the problem. I must have read the wrong, because I was like, wait a minute, I know we're doing a right turn. Come on, the thing's a pain in the butt. 190. I'll tell you what, let's go this way. Gotcha. Let's come up a little bit. Cabin altitude is good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, 195. Now you can see we're going to do that right turn so that we can, so we're going to do a massively heading of a right turn. Now, just to double check, and I'm using my other controller to move that heading bug. You see that? Now, just to double check, let's just double check everything here, guys. Runway 2, climb heading 24, then climb right to 1,400 feet. So we got to remember the 1,400 feet part. Then right turn via... So what's our altitude now and how long is it going to take us to get to 1,400 feet? Quite a bit. So... what do I want to do? I'll manually fly it before I hit autopilot. That's what we'll do. And we're already on that intercept heading. Let's just make sure everything is looking good down here. We got to rearm the heading, rearm nav. See, you got to double check everything here. You'll be a sad puppy. Okay, so heading is rearmed because we moved it out of place. Nav is rearmed. Alt is rearmed. All right, let's go back over here really quick. And the 1,400 climbing right turn on OGG to beach intersection. And the beach intersection, it's not going to show it, but we can come over here on the flight plan preview and just make sure it... Oh no, hi Barbie. So there is no beach intersection on here. This must be the intercept. Let's see, to beach intersection. And what transition were we using? Barbie. You know what may be a little different here, guys? I think this, we're supposed to be, it doesn't have the updated one. I think that's the problem. So here's beach. And then we go out Harpo. down the coast. So I don't even, let's look at this, guys, because we may, let me look at my Navi graph and go from there. Just because it's not making sense. So it's only Island 2. I'm going to look at the Navi graph. We want to get this right. Climb heading 24 to 2100 feet, then right turn to 7,000 on Noai via heading 115 on the OGG radio 85. Okay, so it's off. Let me show you guys. So we're getting conflicting information. Okay, so it's a good thing we're checking this stuff out. Let me make sure we're not moving or anything, because sometimes it's the wrong button. Okay, we're not. So it's conflicting information, and we're going to get to the bottom of it now. So now on this one, it says climb heading 24 to 2100, then right turn to 7,000 to on Nohai. I'm still here, just eating, no problem, Shaq. So we're going to get this right. So we're going to do this. Climb on heading 24 to 21, then right turn to 7,000 to Nohai via heading 115 on OGG radio 185. Okay, there's that Barbie intersection, but that's after Nohai. So we leave 24, we make a heading of 115 to intercept it. I get it. It basically babies you, and it gives you, give me a second here, it gives you the heading that it wants you to go to. So we're going to put 115, which really, so that's 120. All right, that's the 115 heading right there. And now let's just double check the radial. Let's see this chart again. See, these things is like antiquated charts. That's why you got to kind of match them up both. All right, so let's get back on this thing. So this is radio 85 outbound. So we're going to go back to the 85 because that's making sense. We're going to do, you know, turn our heading to 115 until we get to the radio 85 of the OGG, which again is 115.1. So now we're going to go back to 85. So we're going to get it right, guys, I promise you. But I'm glad I double checked it because something wasn't making sense. The two charts are conflicting. All right, 85. So we're going to take off heading 24. We're going to make our right turn, which now makes sense, to 115, and then we're out of here. So we're good to go now, guys. All right, sorry about that. Let's check our fuel stores. We've been burning a lot. All right, everything is good to go. And sometimes you just got to make double sure on this flying thing, because once you get ready to go, there's nothing to it. Parking brake is released. Pulling them up nice and smooth. This thing is powerful.
Auto feather lights on.
Doing a lot of left rudder here, guys.
60 knots.
About 80%. Ooh, a lot of left rudder, guys. That wind is still kicking. I'm not lying. And rotate.
Positive rate.
Gear up.
Gear up. V2.
V2. Gear is coming up.
Attitude's check.
Attitude is checked.
Indicates up.
All right, just doing a little manual flying here. Flaps up. Woo! That was ugly.
Flaps indicates up.
So we're to the left of that VOR somehow. So let's go back left. Looks like we missed that VOR, so let's come over left, guys, and just keep hand flying it because something's not right here. That was definitely a nasty takeoff. I'm flying it using my bearing indicator and everything here, so don't mind the flight director because it is definitely off. Still manual flying it, guys. Alright, we're actually going to hold this heading. So we can get that VOR. It is so bumpy. You guys see that? Autopilot has been engaged. We'll just hold it, make sure it catches up. Alright, flaps are up and clean. Let's go to our IAS climb. Alright, now we're coming to get onto that radio, which we overshot. You guys see the line is coming on over, so we're going to intercept that radio. Let's double check our map here, and I'll get you guys in the chat. So there we go. So for whatever reason, now we can be direct there. So let's go and click direct. Let's go GPS. Localizer 2. There we go, guys. We're on the GPS. So that's what it was. So now we are following the GPS. Autopilot's engaged. We need to make sure nav is on now. See there? You got, boy, you got to check this aircraft. It likes to do a lot of different things. Hey, Kalalui traffic. November 350 Kilo Tango is clear runway 2, climbing in Ojai 2 for Kalalui traffic. All right. Green light says, aviate, straighten out, fly the plane, Dre. I hear you. Yeah, I'm still here just eating. Yes, sir. Green light says, aviate first, then navigate. Yes, sir. That was a bit of a hairy takeoff, but yeah. I should have got the plane up and stable first and then worried about getting over to the VOR. So that's why this thing is a 2-pilot situation. Let's get those, let's get into the climb. 1600. There we go. Let's go ahead and go up on the torque to about 90%. And we are on our way, guys. So another thing to note on this aircraft, if you have it on the GPS and there's no direct waypoint, there's an intersection or vectors, it's not going to show up there yet. It might be, say, GPS, but it might not be the correct color yet because it wasn't showing active. So what we did is we flew the VOR. Horrible okay takeoff until I stopped paying attention and we pitched down, but we got it under control. Passengers lost a little bit of their bowels, but we got it up because we're doing some actual chart flying here. And you see we double checked the chart, what we needed to make sure that we got the VOR correct, which we did. We came off, we overshot it, obviously, and we came back to the left because it was a right turn to intercept. But by the time we got to where we were going, we overshot it. So we just used our HSI there, looked at it, put ourselves on an intercept course, and matched the heading up to that, and it was a smooth thing. So and green light definitely made a good point. You need to aviate first, then navigate. So I should have got it up first, got it stable, which I thought it was, but by the time I was trying to figure everything out, things happen in these aircraft fairly quickly. I don't know how smooth of a landing it's going to be, but if you guys can see, this thing is definitely bumping around quite a bit. Look at this. Let's do another one of those, man. Nice. All right, enough of that. Speed is doing good. We're about 7,000. All right, we are cooking with Crisco, so to speak. Let me go ahead and take a look at kilos, the weather. Still says it's calm. Let me refresh this thing, man. Still says it's calm. Altimeter is 299er. Let's just go ahead and set the altimeter for that. This aircraft does have the ability to cruise at flight level 350 at 35,000 feet. You can see that on the pressurization panel. It's right here. That's the ceiling, operating ceiling of this aircraft is flight level 350. Here's 15,000 feet. We're not even flying that, so pressurization is really not an issue because we're not getting into the hypoxia altitudes. You can basically jump out of this airplane right now at this altitude and you'll be fine with no oxygen. Definitely a rough ride, guys. Once we get to cruise, we'll bring the props to the 15% and keep our torques up. Let's go a little bit up. As you can see, lower to the ground, you're more torque limited. Higher up, once you get those props going, you're less torque limited, and you just got to worry about temperatures. Because we also got to pay attention to this ITT, or we will blow this thing, both engines. All right, we are looking good. Yaw damper's on, GPS is on. All right, we're meeting our altitude, so let's bring those props back to 1500. There we are. Leave fuel right where it's at. You guys can see we're still increasing speed, and the torque is still right at 90. And boy, is it bumpy, man. This is a bumpy day, guys. See right over that wing. You guys doing all right back here? All right, she's on her cell phone. She doesn't even care what's going on, man. Let's check the other side. This one, we're over here kind of behind the wing, facing forward, if you will. And this guy's just doesn't look like this guy's like super concerned about what's going on. I would be too, because this thing is really bouncing around, man. All right, let's make sure we are following our route, which we are. We're making our turn to Barbie. You can see here that's putting us. We're going to be going direct to Paris here because the Barbie intersection is really close. Now we're direct Paris, which that's our longest leg of 59 nautical miles. And of course, we're going to look and see what our VNAV is doing. We might have some time for maybe one song because I think we pretty much got our arrival all squared away. So we can take this off, of course, put this on the flight plan. Actually, let's come over here to utilities. VNAV. Okay, and there's Wakik. So that's what we're descending for, is Wakik. And I like it. And that's where we do our procedure turn as well. So we're going to get to Wakik at 1,800 feet. Go right, swing back around. Procedure turn will be complete at 1,800. We'll be on final approach. So because we flew the VOR, we had no chance to essentially put in that final localizer course. So we'll have to put this in the nav and get that squared away shortly. What we'll probably have to do is go direct to Wakik and potentially do the procedure turn manually. So we'll take a look at the procedure turn. Right now I like our speed. We're maximizing speed, but we're not too close to the barber's pole, so I'm happy about that. And guys, it's just a bumpy ride right now, so let's zoom this in so we can have a better look at what we're doing. And let's cruise here for a second. Put some music on, maybe. Check you guys out in the chat. Let's get a little look this way so we can see that prop roaring. And all right, Greenlight says, remember, Dre, the hardest flying is a single pilot IFR. Use that autopilot on all resources. I agree, Greenlight. I totally agree. The problem was with this one, we had to fly a VOR simply because we needed to get direct towards Barbie in Ohonai. In order to do that, we needed to use a VOR, so we couldn't even have it on GPS yet. Most of your Boeing aircraft, Airbuses, the big jets, once you program all the stuff, the departures and arrivals into the FMS, it still calculates and it will do it for you. You don't even have to do a VOR flying. It's integrated in that. But this one, you have to do the VORs on there if it doesn't show in there. Otherwise, you're going to have to really pay attention to your flying. Either way, you got to set the VOR up in there for visual reference, even if you're manually flying it. So that was kind of the problem, brother. All we can do is get better on this thing, man. You know, all we can do is get better. We had the initial rollout and pitch up was okay. Like I said, I lost it on figuring out that we had already overshot the VOR, which was a surprise to me. Of course, as you can clearly see, you should rewind it and look at my face as I was surprised. But thank you for that green light. I appreciate that, man. I mean, this is all about learning. So yes, next time we do any of this flying, we most certainly will look at that speed right now. We'll most certainly aviate, then navigate. To do that, guys, if you look at it here, this flight is pretty short. We only have 15 minutes until top of descent. As you can see here, we are on our longest leg to Paris, and then we start a more southern vector, if you will, once we get direct Paris. And that's where we're on the Victor 15 airway. Passing through Arbor, the ITO, then we make our left turn, and then we are basically going to be looking for that procedure turn. All right, so these songs are coming in a little bit low. Let's get a song that's got some. There we go. Got to get something with some volume on it. Boy, this is some beautiful flying though, wouldn't you guys say? Look at that, guys. Just cloud surfing right now over the Pacific Ocean. Hanging out with some good folks here on the Dre Sanchez YouTube channel on this King Air 350i. Man, you guys have been great tonight. You've been keeping me thoroughly entertained. I promise you, time has literally melted away. I can't believe we've been streaming already 2 hours and 37 minutes. So we'll get to our destination, do some replays, and then we will definitely call it a night. We had some learning happen here. Thanks to Shaq, thanks to Greenlight. We cooking with Crisco here, guys. Greenlight says, FYI, IRL, you don't have to file or accept departure procedures, and usually ATC will give you direct initial fix. Correct, but I understand, and it good you are practicing IFR. Keep it up, my dude. Absolutely, Greenlight. Yeah, like I said, had it been ATC, they would have literally just gave us vectors anyway. We wouldn't have did that by ourselves, but because in lieu of ATC, you know, yeah, I could have just flown a general heading and then used the heading bug to line up with the flight path, but when at all possible, practice your VFRs and all that stuff. So yeah, I get that, man, totally. And I filed an IFR on VATSIM just in case they came on, which I've had before. So if you don't file on VATSIM, you're doing IFR in your head in your aircraft, but you didn't file online, they're going to tell you to file a flight path. So that's why I kind of did that. Next time you stream, I'd like to fly with you, Greenlight says. Absolutely, absolutely, my brother. We'll figure out schedules. I have a Discord, but if not, you have a Discord, you can put it in the chat or send me any comment on my videos and I'll get it so we can connect. Let me see if I can figure out what my Discord is and send you the link, put it in the chat. Let's first of all check on the aircraft here. We got 12 minutes, everything's looking good. Speeds are looking good. Ooh, that torque, let me pull that back slightly. Okay, torque, we pull back slightly. Let me see if I can access my Discord so I can give it to you, green light. My Discord handle is C777 Alpha. Okay, I'm not very good with Discord, man. Let's see if I can. Let me see if I can get my stuff going here, brother. Oh, you know what? What am I doing here? I got a Discord on my actual system here. Find out where it's at. Oh, here it is, right here. Apparently it's got a update. So my Discord is opening up, as you can see. It's got to do some updates. So it's installing updates. So let me go back online and do it. Discord, open Discord in your browser. All right, boom, boom. Got it. All right, I definitely got to get better. Let's see here. First of all, let's invite people, invite friends, search for friends. Okay, let me do this, and then I'll look for your handle. All right, there's my Discord server right there, guys. And let's get Discord out of there. And he is 777 Alpha. Let me copy your handle. It says no results found. Let's see. Okay, it's surfing for, it says no results. 777 Alpha, let's see. Oh, C777 Alpha, that's the problem. Let me try that again. Invite people. I was missing the C. Still says no results found. Let me check it out here. My Discord is C777 Alpha. Oh, but you're saying it's 777 Alpha and not C777 Alpha. See if you can find my Discord, man, because I'm having a hard time finding you. It says no results found. Let's see, from... Let's see. It says here I am today at 9:09. Okay. So, does that mean here I am? Let's see, pin, delete mess. Okay, so hopefully that means you're in the channel now. I hope so. I'm horrible with Discord, man. I'm gonna get better, I promise you. Okay, yep, 77 Alpha hopped onto the server. There we go. So hopefully that means we're friends now. More, let's see, pin, reply. I'm just gonna write hi, man. There we go. So I got you in there. So now we can plan Discord. All right, he says that's me. All right, you guys, man, we taking care of all types of stuff today, man. 8 minutes and 10 seconds, guys. Man, have you guys been checking this out? What do you guys think? Is it going? And then I'm gonna get better using the Nightbot. Shaq and everyone else, trust me, I'm gonna get better using the Nightbot for sure. But until then, we're gonna keep doing it like this because I'm gonna be doing giveaways, and perhaps some of you guys can definitely give me some tippers on that, give me some training lessons, because I'll sure need them. This is where me being a 70s baby comes in handy. Not that I'm very technologically inclined, but there's just so many apps and things to keep up with these days, man, I tell you. And as soon as one comes out, another one's coming out. Boy, it's just not much to look at that ocean today, is it? It's just straight clouds, man. We in a straight funk today. All right, so we are cruising along, man, and absolutely, green light, man. We definitely gonna fly together, man, because I see you are definitely up on game on how to fly. So I can see I'm gonna be learning a lot from you, brother. So I'm excited. We just share the knowledge all around, man. I'm looking forward to that, guys. But yeah, you know, I mean, everything that I was doing here, learning the VOR during the procedure turn and all that, you know, it's good to learn all of that stuff and practice. Again, you can go on Pilot Edge if you decide to patronize them, or also you can do it on VATSIM. The only problem is VATSIM, they use those charts, but it's not the full simulation just because they use their own different frequencies. I like Pilot Edge because you're using literally everything off the chart and you take the test that way. Which for me, in lieu of actually going to get my private pilot's license, which I, you know, wanted to do so long ago, and I still kind of want to do it, but I'm not so heartbroken if I don't, because this gives me the training that I'm looking for. It's satisfying, it's fulfilling that craving. My wife's happy about that. Keeps me on the ground. Green Light says, appreciate that, brother. Likewise. Oh man, it's all love here at the channel, man. I tell you that, it's all love. We're rolling right along, and we have our top of descent in 5 minutes, so perhaps after this song is done, we'll get to business. Green Light says, get that private pilot's license. I know, man. I know. I'm definitely thinking about it, man. Like I said, definitely thinking about it. You know, I think I can pick one up for $3,000 to $4,000 in total, which really is not too bad. And I'm going to get it right off the Air Force Base. Those are great aviators. There's a flying club right on the Air Force Base, which is about 15 minutes from me on the highway. And I go there. I've been going there for years. Let's see. I started going to the Air Force Base when I was in the military. As far back as 1998, I've been going on that Air Force Base. So you're talking 98, 08. So it's been some years I've been traveling out there. When I got stationed out in Fort Irwin from Fort Jackson, South Carolina. So, but yes, sir. Thank you for the motivation. I'm assuming, and we know what assumptions do. You know, they make an ass out of you and me. But I'm just gonna ask, Green Light. I'm assuming you got your PPL already, and it sounds like you do, man. So I'm definitely. The flying club is great. Due part 61. Got you. So he does have his PPL, guys. So that's awesome, man. All right, man. It's a little bit of a funky song here. It's a jazz song here. Young kids really don't like this type of music. I do. I love chill music. All right, it's been real, but we're going to get the music off because, yes, sir, PPL, COM, IFR, and multi-engine. I'm going to give you a salute, brother. That's awesome. That's awesome. And the fact that you hanging out on this channel and the rest of the channels and sharing your knowledge, along with like folks like Dave McKee and all that stuff, that's awesome, man. So I appreciate it, man. You're gonna really you know, help us all out doing this that don't have it. And that's what it's all about. Anybody wants to know about starting a small business and marketing and just a bunch of stuff, then I'm your guy. You know, I feel like flying may be one of the bucket list items that is, I wouldn't say missing, but it's still kind of relevant in my thought process. You know, obviously buying homes was one of my lists back when I was younger. Getting married, having a family was one. Of course, after settling down and being ready for that, and starting my own business, you know, I'm super blessed, and that's why I say we take the W's and the L's in our lives and really have to compromise on certain things that we want to do. Not that I compromised on my private pilot license, but I had to put things in front of that and still keep things in front of that, like running a small business, taking care of my family, you know, keeping God first, family, all that good stuff. So it's all a good mix. Greenlight says, I'm always here to help you with aviation questions, whatever you need, brother. Hey, man, appreciate you. It's all love. Like I said, we're definitely going to connect and we're definitely going to fly together, man. What are you thinking? Should we do, you know, something like a turboprop, or you want to do jets? Let me know, man, and we'll get in the chat. Maybe we'll hook up on the weekend. This weekend I'm going to an MMA fight. Bring one of my daughters. We're going to go check out with my business partner and very good close friend. We're going to go and we got a big group of us. We're gonna go to see an MMA fight in a place called Valley Center, California. You guys see that? The air's moved out. All right, guys, a minute and 52. Let's go ahead and make concessions for 1,800 feet. We're going to go ahead and set the altitude. They're going to hit the versus, altitude select. And we got about a minute and 30 seconds. So let's pull that speed power back just a little bit. And I like to see the speed start bleeding at least by almost about 10 knots or in the direction, which it is. Nice and easy. So we're starting to slow the aircraft before we start pitching down, guys. And whatever you like, me and Gio do a flight in a Cessna 172 from... I really don't have a great Cessna 172, but I might do that PC-12 or the TBM, actually, which I know they fly a little bit faster. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 13 down. Let's look what the vertical track is telling us. All right, we got to do one more. All right, just pulling that power back a little bit. You see, we're picking up speed, but that's not bad entirely. All right, guys. So essentially, we should have about 1,400 feet pitched down. You pull that power down just a little bit, because if the aircraft starts picking up too much speed, it'll pitch up by itself. So I gotta pull that power back. And let's hit the pitch down one more time. And there we go. Speed is pretty much stabilized, and we are pretty much now pitching down. Now that it got itself corrected, we need to go pitch for still 1,400 feet. We're kind of right between, so if we get to 1,800 feet a little bit before, that'll be fine. Keeping our speed, looking good. All right. I used the X-Plane G1000. It was fine, but whatever plane you like. I actually have X-Plane G1000 from Coronado, but for whatever reason, I have a problem with the charging. Maybe one day I'll do a private stream to you, Auto Brokers. I'll send you a link, and we'll do it YouTube. It'll be a private stream, and you can school me on that and see what I'm doing wrong. But I have it in my warehouse, my hangar. So that's crazy. But I do want to get accustomed to that aircraft. Let's see. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream. He says, no problem. Let me check my settings here. And we're getting green here. We definitely got strong internet. So probably because of clouds and stuff. But it looks like everything is still working just fine. Let's check our map and what we're doing here. Let's make sure we're not going too crazy. Okay, what is going on here? So let's go direct to ITO. And like I said, man, the nav on this thing cuts off sometimes, so I don't know why it absolutely did that. We're still on GPS. Yeah, so I don't even know how we lost that. We got into some type of blind turn. We're at 1,800 feet, but we're not. Let me see. Something's going on funky here, man. Versus autopilot's on. We're pitched down. That's crazy. I don't know exactly what happened here. Let me pull this power way back. Okay, let's look and see if we have to pitch down a whole lot more. And I knew something was going on. I'm like, man, look, it doesn't look like we're following as smoothly as the course as we needed to. So let's look at that VNAV. Okay, we should be fine. We're still pitched down. Let's get some speed slowed down here, though. That's part of the problem. We're going to go back to fly idle on the speed. You guys let me know if the chat is still keeping up. For whatever reason, YouTube's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I don't know. Is it smooth, guys? Let the plane fly the course, but get lower. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, but I had to go direct again to, oops. It was doing this circle thing. It didn't go direct, so it was almost, I had to hit direct. It wasn't even off. It just started circling, and that's not the procedure turn. So I'm like, what's going on there? Okay. So there's the procedure turn. And we'll be okay coming out of the procedure turn. We need to slow way down. Let's look at the procedure turn, what it's supposed to be. And you know what? From the procedure turn, we're just going to go and fly it manually. We should be lined up. Let's look and see. We'll have visibility. So obviously the, let's see here. Okay, the airport is going to be directly behind us. So we'll do this procedure turn, which is planning to do. And we're bleeding that speed. You see that speed coming down? We're going to definitely bleed a lot in the procedure turn. Okay, there's the right bank for the procedure turn. Once we get straightened up, we should just do straight visual. All right, let's look when we can get those flaps. Flap, full down flap, approach flaps at 202. Okay, we can get that now, so we can bleed a little more speed in.
Flaps up.
All right, so we're doing well in the procedure turn. We're gonna go props to full. Now let's get a little bit down so we don't over prop it. There we go. Keeping that speed there. Like green light says, we're going to, and it's just telling me that because the landing gear is not down. That's okay. All right, green light says you are good. Let's go ahead and start a procedure turn. Yes, sir. All right, now let us come in here really quick while it's doing the procedure turn. So 1800, and that's where we intercept the ILS. So once the aircraft gets back right here to Wocket, which is where we're gonna basically need to be on a heading of 259. So it's starting its nice slow turn. This is a heading of 304. Then you turn left 259. So this will be 304. And we should honestly have a good visual of the field. But once we get straightened up, we'll get the ILS information in there, and we'll keep our 1800. All right, guys, let's double check everything and let's get those landing lights on, which we've had on the whole way, which is fine actually because we were below 10,000. Not to say that I didn't check that, because I did kind of get remiss in turning those landing lights off. So shame on me. Okay, now we're going for the procedure turn. All right, FYI, when you are 1 to 5 to 2 miles from Waken, then configure flaps, gear, etc. Got you. In other words, I shouldn't have made this turn with the flaps down. I could have made it when I straightened up. I did it for more drag and for a more stable turn for myself here so that I didn't have to worry about it because a lot's getting ready to happen. Once I get straight here, I got to activate the ILS course. Okay, so here's a little trick that we can do right now. We can square up the heading by simply hitting it. Heading is all squared up. And I'm just going to let it get straight. Let me pull that power back slightly. Green light says no use flaps to keep flying. Use flaps whenever you need them. Roger that. And I figured I needed them at that point. I wanted to slow down a little bit and keep that speed under and go ahead and do it. So, but man, I'm listening to the real pilot. So, all right, guys. So now we are totally on that course. So let's go into heading mode. We're gonna go heading mode. Now we're gonna come over here, map. I'm gonna do CDI. Back down. Now we got to come and click the ILS. Oops, wrong way. Let me look and see what's going on first. I got a visual. .259, localizer 2. All right, we got approach. Let's see, come to the left here. Pull some power back. And let's make sure we're supposed to, yep, 259. So we just need to come over a little bit. We should be intercepting the ILS approach heading out. We've got OGG VOR. This is the problem right here. We need to switch this over, man. Okay, we are on the approach now, so there you go. All right, there's the runway right there, guys. Gear down. And glide slope is captured as well. There's the information right there. Now we're on the localizer. Let's bring the power down. Everything is full. And 3 green landing lights are on. Flaps are down to approach. All right. We got it together, man. We got it together. All right, guys, we're right at the speed I want to be at. Let's go ahead and disconnect autopilot. Like I said, landing gear is down and 3 green, man. Here we go. Last landing of the day, guys. This little aircraft has definitely kept me gainfully employed today, that's for sure. Check. Gotta watch your speed too in these smaller aircraft because they're so light. If you get too much speed, they will most certainly
200 feet to minimums.
They will most certainly start getting lift when you don't want them to get lift.
100 feet to minimums.
That wind is still really shifty right now, guys, so it's not that calm, to be honest with you. Woo! Not my best work here, guys.
50 feet.
Increasing some power here. We're doing a go around, guys. And it's going to be a visual one, too. I didn't like that. Go around. And I didn't do my call outs. We're just going to do a right turn, go around. And we're going to keep it visual. Gear is coming up. Flaps up. Increasing power.
Gear indicates up.
Gear indicates up. I did not like that approach whatsoever, guys.
Flaps indicates up.
Flaps up. Check. Now we're going to do some manual flying. We're just going to be doing a right pattern now. We're going to get it, guys. I didn't like that approach at all. All right, we'll do a little bit of base turn. And we sure didn't do our call outs. Get us about 1,800 feet again. Then we'll do an easterly turn. Almost to 1,800 feet. Yep, that was a go-around situation. I didn't like it. We're right at 1,800 feet. Straighten the aircraft out. Let me do some rudder trim here. A little high. Okay, let's go ahead and do our easterly turn. Right about there. We're just going to hand fly it in, guys. Got to watch that speed. This thing loves these winds, man. They just kick up and they start. Look at the speed we're increasing, man. It's just crazy. All right. I think we're good there. Let's get a visual reference. Okay, there we go. So we'll see if we can get ourselves back in good graces. All hand flying here, folks. Pull those props back a little bit because this thing is kicking on the power. Like there is no happy medium when it comes to power settings here. It's either way up or way down. There we go. Start bleeding a little bit of the speed here, or an altitude, if you will. Let me get you here in a second, green light. Let's get rid of everything that's going to distract me. Yeah, my needle, I set it to 259 and it switched around because it did the back course, so it did it on its own. Green light, I see what you're saying. It did it on its own. You guys saw me set it to 259 on the course heading, and then I guess when I overshot it, it switched it on its own. Probably directly to the back course is what I'm assuming. Okay, we're getting ready to start our base turn.
Feet to minimums.
It's going to come up a little bit because we lost some altitude. Flaps down. I tell you what, these winds aren't helping. Definitely some challenge flying here today. The traffic number 350 Kilo Tango is visual for runway 26 full stop. Traffic. Alright, so a bit of a sloppy pattern work. Landing gears down, flaps are down, 3 green check. All right. Gonna do some rudder trim here, man. This thing is just crazily all over the place.
1,000 feet to minimums.
Super. You guys see the concentration in my face? Super kind of high here, but that's all right. I think we're gonna be okay.
Feet to minimums. 100 feet to minimums.
Okay, we're kind of black on the glide slope there. All right. That was not good at all, but it is what it is, man. This thing was all over the place. Poor and early flare, I agree. Boy, it was some challenging flying today. All right, guys. Definitely not my best work. Definitely super windy. Contrary to popular belief, I don't care if they said it was winds calm or not. The winds were not calm in this thing. And, whoo, that was ugly. Nothing good about either of my landings today. Like I said, guys, you want a challenge? Get in this thing and fly it around in a windy situation. All right. Yellow traffic. Number 350 Kilo Tango, clear runway 26, taxi into the ramp. Yellow traffic. All right, folks. Well, let's clean up the plane. And, woo, what a day. What a day. Start getting avionics off, things we don't need. Green light says, good job, brother. I appreciate you, man. I know that approach. We did a go around like we were supposed to, but it was just nasty business either way it went. It was just nasty, nasty business. Like I said, not my best work. Not my best work at all. Here's the terminal. We're just going to be going to the right of the terminal over here in this area. Appreciate everybody staying on board today. Green Light, Shaq, Chief, Benga, Geo, definitely my beautiful wife, kids, and anybody else who checked in the stream, of course. If I'm missing you, I'm not meaning to. I'm multitasking here, really, to be honest with you. To be honest, we're going to turn that right engine off, of course. We're just going to kind of marshal right in over to this other area. Yeah, we're just going to come in like right over here and call it a day. So, we're just going to taxi in. I don't think it liked the fact that I cut that other engine off. I don't know why this one's cutting off. We've got no power, man. I wonder why this is going backwards now. I wonder what's up with that. Oh, I see. We got to get it out of beta. There we go. Let's see if that works. Yeah, so you can't have both engines off with beta. That's the problem. There we go. We'll continue our taxi. I forgot about that when you do single engine on this thing. So, FYI, if you're in beta and taxiing, you're going to want to get out of beta if you've got one engine operation. like we're on some helicopter landing or something. But guess what? We don't care. This is where we are letting the passengers out. We're going to line up right in that second circle. Because it's bullseye time. All right, guys, right where we want to be. Parking brake is set. All right, let's turn that beacon off. And welcome it into Hilo. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get this replay going and wrap it up, guys. It's been definitely an interesting one. Let me turn off my transponder, of course. Even though it's not on, it's still recognizing on VATSIM that it's on. Let me disconnect, which I just did. And it is replay time. I appreciate everyone staying on board. Definitely last landing was definitely not exactly how I imagined it, so we're going to go see how bad it looked. Hey, we got to take the bad ones with the good ones, you know. We still had acceptable on both, but ay. All right, we'll start from this low, and it's not going to be a pretty one, guys. So
Brake aids up. Gear up. 100 feet. Minimums.
So I still came in too low. I was pitched up way too high. It was a poor and early flare. And, ooh, yeah, that was just not a pretty landing.
60 knots.
I mean, I've seen them like that in real life, but I'm not proud of watching those, and I'm definitely not proud of doing that. But it is what it is, guys. You know? Got to keep it real with yourself. I don't have perfect landings all the time. I mean, look at that. Just ugly. Just ugly all the way around. Just ugly all the way around, folks. Let's watch this. Unacceptable, and I do mean unacceptable landing, guys. Just not good today, but I enjoyed the flying, and I mean, right there, we should have just dropped it, but I don't know, for whatever reason, we were trying to bank left, should have used a little bit more rudder. Still on the runway, but just horrible, almost off of the runway there. The right landing gear goes a little bit left, and just showing you guys what not to do. For sure, showing you guys what not to do. Let's see how bad this looked. I think the rudder is just stuck like that. Look at that. So we didn't do any wing or tail strikes, which is a good thing, and we were just bouncing all around. Woo! You know, that one guy that was sitting in the back there, he was definitely concerned for a reason. You know, he was concerned for a reason. Where's he at? That's why he looked so concerned. All right, guys, you know what I like to do. Let me just come on and say goodbye. I'd like to say thank you to everybody that was in the chat, in the stream. Thank you so much. Greenlight Auto Brokers and Captain Geo, my lovely, lovely wife, of course. This is in no specific order. Captain Shaquille O'Neal, Benga, Chief Sim Pilot, and anybody else who just basically stopped and checked in. I'm trying to remember everybody's name. Drewstone77, Ilmir, Stephanitis, you guys checked in. So thank you guys once again. We're going to get out of here and call it a day. I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow. I might take it off. I don't know yet. Greenlight will definitely have to get together so we can plan a flight. Peace, love, and harmony. God bless you guys. Stay safe. Keep your head straight in this pandemic. We will get through this. One love. I'll see you guys later.
100 feet. 50 feet. 40 knots.